Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Wednesday, November 20th, 8:47 a.m., and we are back once again to analyze the global capital equity markets. Today, folks, we got a lot to talk about. We've got Nvda. We've got Nvda earnings after the bell. That's going to be a big one. We've had a strong Q3. Companies have done well. Big tech has done well. Nvidia is the last one we need to really do well. So we'll go through a preview of Nvidia earnings. And then at 3:30 today, I will be live with Jose covering Nvidia earnings. That's a big one. We got to prepare for that. Number two, we've got Robinhood at $36.87 in the pre-market, up about 5%. It was at $37 at one point in the pre-market. Why? Because Robinhood, little old Robinhood, is growing up, and they just got their first $51 price target upgrade from Bernstein. So we're going to be talking about that price target upgrade and what that means for Robinhood. Microstrategy is up another 3% in the pre-market. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and I want to talk a little bit about Microstrategy, but it's quite incredible. up 7% in the pre-markets. It was up 12% yesterday, so it's basically up 20% over the past 2 days. Yeah, I've got a lot to say about MicroStrategy, so we'll talk about that and what's going on with that. And one of the other reasons why Robinhood and MicroStrategy is up right now in the pre-market is because Bitcoin, 94,535. It hit 94,000 yesterday after the market opened, but during the market close, it was back at that 91, 92. So I didn't really get to see 94. Now we're looking at 94.5. This is a new all-time high for Bitcoin, and obviously all the Bitcoin proxies are loving it. Where's SoFi? I didn't look at them in the pre-market. They had a great close above 1450. SoFi 1478. Look at that. SoFi wants 15. So we got a lot of things moving in the pre-market. We're going to be discussing why those are moving. We also have some headlines. One thing that is moving to the downside, which we will discuss as well, is Target down 16%. I actually think there's an opportunity here. We'll go through their earnings and I'll kind of show you what it's looking like. But obviously, Walmart crushed earnings yesterday. Walmart's down about 0.5% right now, but it's at an all-time high yesterday. It is outperforming Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple year to date. Target's down 16%. I don't think that means the consumer's struggling, because you would see both of those companies doing bad. I think that means that there's an issue with Target compared to Walmart. So we'll talk about that, get into it, and go into all that good stuff. All right, here we go. Market Open once again. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We got a lot to discuss. Where's Waldo is back on the show today, since I know you guys love him so much. So here we are. We're back, and it's time to get into it. Lena, Peter, Arian, Troy, Penick, Aditya, Bren, what's up? Marie, Jean, Harry, Matthias, Gary, I'm Beneficial, Joseph, Missy, Brandon, what's up? Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. Bay Ray says, not this shirt again. We had to bring back the shirt once again. Drew Nation, Benny, hello. Thank you, everybody. Eric, good green morning. Eric, good morning to you. Also, Tesla, I think it's currently a little green. It might be a little bit red right now. Where's Tesla? Yeah, slightly red, down about 0.43%. We do have some more updates on Tesla, so we'll talk about what's going on with Tesla as well. But Tesla, just every day, they're getting a new price target upgrade. And every time I read these sell-side reports, the analysts are just like Trump. It's like, we cannot deny the relationship with Elon and Trump. And I think it's really hard to deny that relationship. And that is why Tesla continues to do well. All right, so let's get started. I think we'll start off with Hood. Let's start off with Hood. You know, this is just, it's a really special thing. I did not, when I started buying Hood around $8, and I did not expect them to one day be at this point where they were 50. I mean, if you told me at the time, I said, no, my price target was like 20. I was like, $20 in a year would be amazing. In fact, the options I bought for 2026 was $20 by 2026. I was like, you know what? I think in 2 years, the stock can get from 8 to 20. And the level of execution they've had, the level of momentum that they've had, Vlad basically deciding that he wants to go for the entire world of financial services, it has just been quite incredible. So Robinhood right here upgraded to $51. Yesterday, Robinhood acquired a company for $300 million. Robinhood, by the way, Vlad confirmed that the $40 billion in assets in that company is a registered investment advisory platform, is coming into Robinhood, which means now they went from $160 billion to $200 billion of assets, and they paid $300 million for it. So pretty damn incredible acquisition, and they just really know how to acquire companies for cheap and be able to bring over a decent amount of value. So Bernstein today upgrades Robinhood from 30 to 51, and here's what they wrote. And by the way, before we get into this, I just want to give Gautam, who is the analyst, a lot of credit. He was the first analyst on the street to give Robinhood a $30 price target back in March, and now they're the first analysts to give Robinhood a $50 price target. I definitely think they deserve the credit here because from an institutional perspective, they were on the story since the beginning. Robinhood share price is up 170% year to date, and we further see upside potential, raising our price target from 51 to 51 from 30. Hood has historically operated within regulatory constraints in its crypto business, listing only 15 tokens compared to 250 on Coinbase and generating no revenue from staking, lending, derivatives, or stablecoins, products offered by competitors. If you're in the crypto space, you know how special and valuable staking, lending, stablecoins, etc. are in a crypto ecosystem. However, under a potentially more crypto SEC, by the way, we have some updates on the new SEC chairman. We'll talk about that. We expect Hood to benefit significantly from regulatory tailwinds. We increase our 2025 crypto revenue estimates by 20% and remain 3.5x above consensus estimates. This growth should be fueled by market share gains through expanded token listings and the introduction of new product lines, unlocking a larger revenue opportunity. Now, this makes a lot of sense because Bernstein has been pretty bullish on crypto in general. They believe that crypto should see, or Bitcoin itself should see, 200,000 by the end of 2025. So it makes sense. They've been first on the MicroStrategy story. I mean, they've been calling MicroStrategy for a long time. They were first on the Hood story, and they basically see these two asset classes as really unique ways and really important ways to get access to the overall crypto bull market. So if we take a look at Hood right here, you got SoFi right here up 2.8%, MicroStrategy now up 8%, Bitcoin 94,680. That is a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Robinhood $37.02, up 5% on the day. If you believe that they will list more crypto coins, if you believe they will have more crypto products, if you believe they will capitalize on the regulatory tailwinds or the lack of regulation in the crypto space, which will be a tailwind for them, then you've got to believe that earnings per share gets closer to $1 of EPS way before the analysts think. Most analysts think by 2026 they'll get $1 of EPS. If by the end of 2025 they get to $1 of EPS just by the crypto tailwind, you put a decent multiple on that, you're looking at a stock that is closer to that $40, $50 range as Bernstein is talking about, along with the fact that they still have $5 billion in cash, they're buying back their own shares, and they're growing 36%. So when you put all those things together, the risk reward is not what it was at 23 when it dropped from earnings, but it's definitely an exciting risk reward if you believe in the broader crypto bull market and you want a business itself that can capitalize on that bull market. So that's what we got on Robinhood. 37.15 in the pre-markets, up 5.42% on the day. Robinhood continues to show the execution. Let's talk about MicroStrategy. Am I safe for the $40 covered call on Hood for Friday? Friday's 2 days from now? Unless Bitcoin goes to 100,000. And the momentum could be there. Maybe the momentum is on Hood, even without Bitcoin going to 100,000. Maybe there's just some more people that want to step in. I think you should be okay. I think in general, Brendan, if it hits 40 on Friday, rolling it to like 42, 43 for another week or another month. I mean, look, the problem with crypto, I was actually talking to an analyst this morning and he said he's bombarded by calls. And the reason he's bombarded by calls is because this asset class, he called it, is so reflexive. And the problem is price drives sentiment. So he's picking up calls. He's at a Wall Street firm and he's picking up calls left and right, because like all these clients want to talk to them now because they're seeing Bitcoin go up. So I bring this up to say that, a month from now, I really don't, this is why I have no covered calls on Robinhood. I have no idea. I have a couple for like 50 in January 2027, but the far majority of my position is open. And the reason it's open is because I just don't know what happens a month from now. A month from now, Bitcoin could go back to 70K, right? And then the cover calls could be amazing. So it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of just got to let it play out. But I do think rolling it into, the future, you're going to be okay. The thing I'm waiting for on Hood is better strikes. So in that $40 covered call, if you just want to add some more time to it and you don't care about the shares being locked up for a while, if they add $60 or $70 strikes, which hopefully if it gets to 40, we'll at least get 55, 60, then I think rolling to those makes sense. And you just give yourself the time to kind of let crypto develop and Bitcoin to do its thing. And that obviously could help Robinhood. Okay, so that's what we have in the context of Robinhood, MicroStrategy. Now, I have some thoughts on MicroStrategy, okay? And I want to start this conversation with a question. And then after I ask this question, I want people to think about it for 10 seconds. And then I'm going to play this clip where Michael Saylor answers the question. So the biggest concern with MicroStrategy right now is people are like, wait a second, they have XYZ in Bitcoin, but they're trading at XYZ against their Bitcoin. So let's say they have 20 billion in Bitcoin, but they're trading at a market cap of 80 billion. How does that make sense? How are they trading at a 4x multiple against Bitcoin? That's not real. That doesn't make sense. This is a Ponzi scheme. There's no way you can justify this. I am sympathetic to those arguments, but then I thought about this last night after listening to Michael Saylor talk, and some of you guys might hate this argument. Some of you guys might actually think there's some, dare I say, genius in this argument. Google, let's just for the sake of argument, does $400 billion of revenue a year. I'm just assuming $100 billion a quarter. It's more like $80 billion a quarter. And they do about $100 billion of net income. Why is Google trading at $2 trillion? Why is Google, that does 400 billion in revenue, trading at 2 trillion? Like, why are we putting a multiple on that? And most people are saying right now that multiple is actually cheap. Why are we putting that multiple on Google? Like, how does it make sense to buy something worth 2 trillion when they're only doing 400 billion in revenue? How does it make sense to pay 90 billion for MicroStrategy if they only have 20 billion of Bitcoin? Michael Saylor answered this question. I think it's a really interesting question and hopefully gives a little bit of clarity to how MicroStrategy is pulling this off.
Michael, there's a perception that your stock trades at a premium to the intrinsic value of Bitcoin that you hold in the core business. Is that your view? And if so, what explains it? Is that the Saylor premium?
No, that's only a perception of people that haven't been paying attention or don't really do any research. If you actually logged into our earnings call, or if anybody studied the company, that's kind of like saying there's a perception that Microsoft trades at a premium to its underlying assets. Well, yeah, it does. It trades 50 times greater than its net tangible assets. So does Apple, so does Standard Oil, so does every operating company. So the myth, right, the misunderstanding here is people don't understand what our operating business is. Our operating business is a treasury operation that's securitizing Bitcoin. And the primary use that we offer to the marketplace is we offer high volatility, high leverage equity, like 2x Bitcoin.
Now, real quick, pausing on that, Microsoft offers Windows and Copilot. Google offers YouTube and search. You put a premium on those products against the underlying assets because people believe it's a valuable product or service in the marketplace. Michael Saylor is saying the collateralization of their stock against Bitcoin to create leverage, essentially becoming a Bitcoin treasury, is a product or service that the market is willing to pay for. And as a result, you pay a premium for that, just like you pay a premium of a couple $1 trillion on top of Google's underlying assets. And hearing that last night actually made it make sense to me. I'm not saying that MicroStrategy is cheap right here or anything like that, but when you hear it from that perspective, you start to understand, okay, I kind of get why people would pay the premium and what product or service they think they're getting from MicroStrategy stock in order to pay that premium.
In the equity, or 1.5x Bitcoin. And that's very valuable. If you're an options trader or you're an investor, you would rather have 1.5x or 2x leverage on the equity. And the way that we create that in a systemic fashion is we strip the risk, the performance, and the volatility off of Bitcoin, and we sell fixed income instruments to the fixed income market that can't buy Bitcoin and doesn't want the equity and doesn't want the volatility. So when we sell a convertible bond, we sell a convertible bond at a premium. We might sell $1 billion bond, and we would probably capture 750 million or more in the arbitrage on the day we do the deal. And then if we hold the bond 6 years and Bitcoin goes up 21% a year, we make $3 billion on the back end. So we generate $3.7 billion of shareholder gains by arbitraging the duration on cheap capital with the return on a crypto commodity.
Now, either you like that or you don't like that, but what does Microsoft do? They generate gains, in this case, the gains being the revenue off offering a product or service to the marketplace, and then they record that as revenue, they report that to investors, and then investors then want to decide, hey, do we think Microsoft's growth or this product or service of Copilot, et cetera, is worth the multiple that we're paying on top of it? It is the exact same thing when you think about this when it comes to MicroStrategy. I mean, and I've missed this quite. I'm not in this story. I don't have a position. I'm not going to get a position at this point. Like, I feel like kind of missed the train here, and it is what it is. But I try to have an open mind, and I try to be intellectually curious about this. And when I think about it, the reason people are buying MicroStrategy stock at a 3 to 4x premium is because they believe that the commodity that is Bitcoin, which is being collateralized inside of MicroStrategy stock in order to create essentially what Saylor says is a Bitcoin treasury, which then allows a very liquid options market to exist against the leverage that they use with their stock. Yes, I know options exist for the other Bitcoin ETFs now. That's live. But the point is people want to leverage via MicroStrategy, just like people want to use Microsoft PowerPoint over Google Slides. And as a result, you have a premium that is associated with that. And so when you think about that from the perspective, it makes a lot of sense in terms of how they're navigating the overall story and why people are paying for that. As Pelias says right here, I think this is a good example that Saylor uses as well. Oil refinery means that you get crude and decide what to do with it based on world demand. MicroStrategy does this with Bitcoin. That is correct. The oil to them is essentially Bitcoin or the crude, and then they ultimately have to refine it. And in the way that they refine it, which is creating the securitization of cheap or forget cheap cash, 0% interest cash, free cash, to then be able to create gains against the upside potential of Bitcoin by collateralizing MicroStrategy stock, by using the cheap cash, the 0% interest cash that they ultimately raise. Having said that, MicroStrategy did it again today. So yesterday they raised $1.7 billion in convertible notes. They upped that raise from $1.75 billion to $2.6 billion. What's interesting about this to me is not that they are raising more money to buy more Bitcoin. That's fine. We've seen them do that over the past couple of years. What's interesting is that investors are basically begging them to take another $850 million of 0% interest-free debt to pay them back at another day and time, years from now, when the stock is much higher, on the assumption that Bitcoin will go higher from 94,000. That means institutional investors said, hey, Saylor, take more of our money, put more of it into Bitcoin, and we're just going to wait for 5 years until the story plays out. If it doesn't play out, it's okay. We know what we're signing up for. And if it does work out, we're just going to get more MicroStrategy stock, which should be theoretically more valuable than the convertible price, which I believe is like $640, which, by the way, is at an upside from here, which is currently $460. And the debt issuers are happy, the shareholders are happy, and MicroStrategy continues to get to buy more Bitcoin. There you go. That's what you got going on right now in the context of MSTR. I mean, it is just one of the most exciting and interesting trades that I've seen. And you guys want to see some gain porn? Let's look at that. So this is a guy who bet heavy on MicroStrategy. Just found him on X this morning. Take a look at this, dude. He, I think this was back in like the summer or a little bit before the summer. He just bought up a ton of $100 calls, $200 calls, $300 calls on MicroStrategy. Dude is up like $10 million on his total gain and loss. So some of these are up 60%, 400%, 300%, 200%, 243%. And he also posted that he sold all of the calls today that were under $300 strikes. I believe he has even more MicroStrategy calls. This is part of a group called Irresponsibly Long MicroStrategy. I just found that group this morning. So, I mean, there are lots and lots of people making money off this stock. And it is essentially the alpha leverage ecosystem that people are using, and they're willing to pay that premium against net asset value because they believe that the Bitcoin treasury that Saylor has created is a valuable product and service, just like Google Search and YouTube and Microsoft Windows and Office and all this stuff is a valuable service at the end of the day. MicroStrategy right here at 466. Now, if you look at the chart, I'm not going to lie. The chart looks like a meme coin. The chart looks like, I don't know. The chart looks kind of scary. I mean, it is way past its all-time high back in 2000. It's pretty damn incredible. The all-time high. Remember we were showing the chart last week where MicroStrategy was at 330 and that was like at its all-time high of 33 back in 2000. We are far beyond that. And the crazy thing is if Bitcoin continues to go higher, this thing probably continues to get even more momentum right here. So look, I'm not in this. I think it's a little risky right here. I think any downside to Bitcoin, this thing can get hit really badly. I do think Bitcoin's in a pretty big bull market right now, 94,404. So remember that analyst note I showed you guys from, what was the name of from Bernstein. Yeah, it was from Bernstein. Bernstein is the one that put out that note last week that said the Bitcoin bull market is here. Get exposure ASAP. Call us if you have questions. It was like 4 sentences. That was their research note to clients that morning. I think that's when Bitcoin hit 80,000. Yeah, they weren't kidding around. Get exposure ASAP. Get into the market somehow because the Bitcoin bull market is here. Now the question becomes, how far does this bull market have to go? And I don't think any of us know. Whatever analysis I provide, there's probably no real way to conceptualize how far this thing can go. When does this stop? One thing I will say, though, is that the institutional investors are continuing to find value within Bitcoin, and we can see that through ETF inflows. By the way, real quick, before we look at ETF inflows, Michael Saylor got invited to talk to Microsoft. There was a proposal I showed you guys a couple weeks ago where MicroStrategy or Microsoft asked their shareholders, hey, do you think we should put Bitcoin on the balance sheet? Right here, October 25th, Saylor tweeted against Satya, hey, if you want to like know why you should have Bitcoin, call me. And this was on a proposal from shareholders on Microsoft's call. As you can see right here, this is what Microsoft wrote. Microstrategy, which like Microsoft is a technology company, but unlike Microsoft holds Bitcoin on the balance sheet, has had its stock outperform Microsoft this year by 313%, despite only doing a fraction of the business that Microsoft has. Fraction is putting it nicely. MicroStrategy does 100 million of revenue every quarter. You know, Microsoft does like 70 billion. And they're not alone. The institutional and corporate adoption of Bitcoin is becoming more commonplace. Microsoft's second largest shareholder, BlackRock, offers its client a Bitcoin ETF. Well, apparently shareholders voted to give Michael Saylor some time to present in front of the board. Now, what's funny about this is that he only has 3 minutes. So I don't know how much he's going to be able to say in 3 minutes. I don't think Satya Nadella wants to buy Bitcoin. I don't think he's the type of guy that wants to do it. But if the shareholders vote for it, I think he has to. Microsoft has 78 billion in cash. I mean, you got to remember, Microsoft, a majority of it is owned by Bill Gates, right? Like Berkshire, Bill Gates, these guys do not want Bitcoin on the balance sheet, but the shareholders, I guess, especially some of the maybe institutional or younger ones, might try to overpower the overall shareholder base, which I think is vehemently against Bitcoin. They might vote for this to be yes, and Michael Saylor will have an opportunity to talk to them for 3 minutes and try to put his case. If Microsoft ends up buying Bitcoin, this thing is going to get pretty wild. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Now, another rumor I saw this morning on some article, again, take this with a grain of salt, is that advisors near Trump are hinting that he may use executive action to set up the Bitcoin reserve, meaning there are some loopholes. These are very kind of complicated loopholes in the way the United States works, where you can take executive action to set certain things. And instead of going through Congress, which is going to be hard to approve a Bitcoin stockpile reserve to buy 1 million Bitcoin, because got a lot of people in Congress that A, don't want to give Trump that win. B, they probably don't believe in Bitcoin or understand it. And C, they think the money is better spent, in other places. Trump might just set it up himself. And if Trump sets it up himself, again, I still think there's going to be some checks and balances. Some courts are probably going to say, hey, maybe no, you can't do that. But if that is the case, and Gary Gensler is gone, there is a hell of an argument for why Bitcoin can continue to do well, and why, when the United States gets in, other countries will follow that as well. Bitcoin ETF inflows yesterday, pretty strong. Bitwise, IBIT, and Fidelity all had, Fidelity and Bitcoin, 200 million each. ARK had 267 million of inflows. Bitwise had 52 million. I believe the options are available on all 3 of these assets now. Bitwise, the options should be available today. And in total, you had $816 million of inflows yesterday. The point is, this crypto ecosystem is not going anywhere, and it looks like investors are continuously trying to find a way to get exposure to it. And the ETFs, MicroStrategy, relisting Solana, like Robinhood, there's a lot of momentum in the space, and that momentum seems to be positive right now in the context of Bitcoin. All right, cool. That was all the conversation on Bitcoin. We will revisit it after the market open. We'll move on to some other stuff, but Hood and MicroStrategy having a great day as Bitcoin continues to go higher. Robinhood upgraded to $51. MicroStrategy right here at all-time highs, and Bitcoin at 94,715, currently 94,635, potentially trying to break 95,000 today. Nvidia. We've got Nvidia earnings. All right, so gut check. Put a 1 in the chat if you're feeling bullish on Nvidia, a 2 if you're feeling bearish. 1 bullish, 2 bearish. We'll talk about Target in a second as well. I don't know, dude. Target just like they shit the bed, but we'll see if there's an opportunity there. Let's see if we got some 1s. All right, we got a decent amount of 1s. People are feeling bullish. I see like 3 or 4 2s. That's it. All right, we got some 1s. Look, I'm feeling pretty bullish. The market's feeling pretty bullish. Maybe that's a sign that things are not going to be as good because everyone's bullish. But Nvidia was up 5% yesterday. It's up another 0.5% today. The market's pricing in about a 10% move up or down. So either it goes back to like 135 or it kind of goes into the 160s. I believe Jensen Huang around Blackwell. And if I believe him around Blackwell, you got to go down with the ship. You either believe that demand for Blackwell is crazy or you don't. By the way, it's not that hard to believe Blackwell demand isn't crazy, because TSMC had their best numbers in October, and all the hyperscalers told us that Blackwell demand, or that they're spending so much on CapEx that you would imagine that extrapolates to Blackwell. Here's what the street's saying. Stifle, buy it, 180. Truist, buy it, 167. KeyBank, buy it, 180. Bank of America, just buy it. They're like Just buy it. It'll go up. Buy it. Morgan Stanley, buy it 160. Wedbush, buy it 160. Susquehanna, buy it 180. HSBC, buy it 200. They have the highest price target. Evercore, buy it 189. Jefferies, buy it 185. Oppenheimer, buy it 175. Raymond James, strong buy 170. So either all the analysts are full of shit and it's going to go wrong and they're going to have to, take a lot of calls when this thing tanks 10% tomorrow, or they're going to get some bonuses. Because, by the way, you guys know analysts, they can't buy the stock. They are paid on bonuses. So if you say, for example, that's why I know the Robinhood analysts and the Microstrategy analysts are feeling really good, because they can't buy the stock because then it creates a conflict of interest and all this like legal stuff. But if they say, hey, Robinhood's at 30 and Robinhood's 35, they get a nice fat bonus at the end of the year. So all of these guys are going for their damn bonuses on Nvidia. And so Jensen is responsible for these guys having a very, very happy Christmas. So, either they're going to have to justify Nvidia, tanking 10% because they missed on earnings estimates, or they're going to be happy because Nvidia beat on earnings estimates by about $2 billion on the guide, $2 billion on the top line Q4 estimates, probably by like 10 cents or at least 5 cents on EPS. And then, the broader Nvidia story will still be intact. Oh, Rishi's not getting a bonus, dude. Rishi's not getting unless Rishi got paid to be bearish on Palantir, which we've seen that happen. I mean, Gordon Johnson, I think everyone knows, right, that Gordon Johnson gets paid by clients. I mean, he's openly admitted that his clients were upset when Tesla was like doing well back in 2020. And he was one of the lone voices out there to set up his firm, GLJ Research, to then be bearish on Tesla. So I'm pretty sure, he said it on interviews that he gets paid to necessarily think in a different way, one could argue, about Tesla. Rishi, I don't know if he gets paid, but he's definitely not getting a bonus on Palantir. Maybe something else, but not getting a bonus on Palantir. All right, so all of you guys in the chat feel pretty bullish on NVIDIA. I'm feeling pretty bullish on NVIDIA. I think Blackwell demand is there. The street's feeling bullish on NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA just has to put up the numbers. What does this mean for the broader market? What does this mean for investors? I think NVIDIA needs to crush earnings because this bull market is intact right now because of earnings growth. There's a ton of things, if you look at economic data, and I've been talking about it over the past couple of weeks, like random bearish things that make you feel a little scared. One of the biggest things is inflation continues to still be present and it's not going away. CPI and PPI is accelerating to the upside, and we hope that puts a sort of like floor into November's data, and that the street thinks that the rate cut is still likely. On top of that, the UK inflation rate came up today as well. So it's not just in the United States where inflation is coming up. In the United Kingdom, annual inflation rate in the UK went up to 2.3% compared to 1.7% in September. Not good. It's not what we want to see, right? So that is one concern that we have in the market, that inflation currently is here, or inflation currently is sticky. Another concern is, what are these tariffs going to look like? Are they going to create more inflation? Are they going to be bad on the consumer? That's another concern in terms of uncertainty that the market has. Here is another concern. Auto delinquency rates. This is why the used car market is exploding, because no one can afford a new car. Auto delinquency rates hit their highest level in 14 years at about 3.8%. So people are defaulting on paying back their car loan. And so you got these random things going on in the economy that are signaling things that are not necessarily bullish, not necessarily good, but Q3 earnings have been incredible. And it looks like Q4 earnings are also going to be the same, given how many companies raised guidance and given that we're going into the holiday season. So the reason NVIDIA has to crush today is because Q4 earnings have been so good, or Q3 earnings have been so good, that you can't have NVIDIA, which is at this point, holding up the stock market, even though, the stock market has done relatively well without NVIDIA necessarily having all the big headlines. But at the end of the day, NVIDIA can't collapse. NVIDIA can't say that we missed on our numbers, which I don't expect them to do, because the broader market is still depending on NVIDIA to hold up the AI thesis and the AI narrative writ large. So from that perspective, it's really important for NVIDIA to crush. I don't think it's as important as it was in Q3 or Q2 in August, because we were just recovering from the yen carry trade. So we kind of needed to make sure things were okay, and NVIDIA was good at that time. Now we just need to keep things intact, and that's why NVIDIA needs to crush. So if that happens, I think Q3 will come to a pretty strong end. We also have Snowflake and Palo Alto Networks. Snowflake looks oversold to me. I agree. I think there's a shot that they put up some good numbers. It's just, they've got to reaccelerate revenue growth. They've been deaccelerating revenue growth. Their stock-based compensation is disgusting. So they've got to be able to deal with that. I don't think investors are going to be happy about that. And then their earnings calls are always not the best. I mean, they're just kind of mean to analysts, quite frankly. So we'll see what kind of Snowflake comes up with today, Palo Alto Networks, but NVIDIA is the big one today. that is going to matter. Can you talk about MSTU? Yeah, so MSTU is just a leverage play against MSTR, which is already leveraged against Bitcoin. So these are MSTU and MSTX. MSTU is 2x long MSTR. So it was up 30% yesterday. It's up 15% in the pre-market because MicroStrategy is up 8%. And MSTU year to date is up 724% compared to MicroStrategy, which is not up 724%. MicroStrategy is up like 500%. But this thing came out in September. So if it was out when MicroStrategy was out like a year ago, then it probably would be up even more than 724%. So you got MSTU that's up a lot. Now, why is this important? Well, the assets under management that MSTU has currently right now, I'll take a look at this, is upwards of $1 billion, if I'm not wrong. MSTU AUM, yeah, $2.8 billion. Think about that. $2.8 billion in a single stock leveraged ETF. That is how wild the broader market is interpreting this bull market and how people are wanting to gain leverage against this bull market, particularly in the context of crypto. And when you've got that much money in the derivative ETFs that are leveraged against MicroStrategy, which is already leveraged, you're going to have a lot of inflows going into the overall asset class, which is MicroStrategy, which means a lot of more inflows because MicroStrategy uses their stock to then collateralize to raise money to then buy Bitcoin, which means more inflows into Bitcoin. So that is kind of why that asset class is doing well. That is why those ETFs are doing well. Would I buy it here? Look, no, on MicroStrategy, if anyone asks me, hey, are you buying? My answer is no, because SoFi, by the way, 1476 up 2%. I feel like I missed it. Like, it is what it is. You can't get everything. I feel like I missed MicroStrategy. I know all the MicroStrategy bulls will say, no, but Bitcoin's going to the moon. You haven't missed it. It's just getting started. I get it. But like, I don't have the stomach for that type of volatility. I've already had to stomach enough volatility this year. I'm not getting in bed with MicroStrategy, but I love listening to Michael Saylor. I mean, from an intellectual perspective, I love listening to how he puts arguments together. This guy's one of the smartest guys in the world, whether you agree with him or not. He got big tech right in 2010. He's been a tech entrepreneur for a long time. Like, he bought some pretty high level domain names back in the 1990s that ended up becoming big companies. Like, I think hope.com, he owns love.com, or a bunch of these other random domain names. Like, he's always had a very strong intellect for business. It's just MicroStrategy kind of sucked as a company and it couldn't compete against big tech. And that's when he realized in 2020, hey, maybe this Bitcoin thing is an opportunity to not only save the company, but to think of a new paradigmatic shift when we understand the financial system. So I love listening to him, but I'm not in the play. I'm just not in the play. I did buy some Grab. I didn't buy a lot of it, but I grabbed 25 shares yesterday. I know it's not a lot. Look, I think Chris is correct about this thesis. Sam, who's going to be on the show, Sam is one of the guys on Chris's Patreon. He actually brought up this idea to Chris, and that's what got Chris excited. He will be on tomorrow after the close, and we'll do an in-depth deep dive on Grab. I've said it for the past couple of days. I really love the chart. I think this consolidation from $3 to $5 over basically 4 years is exciting to me. I like that. And they are now profitable. They just had a profitable quarter. Free cash flow is up. Net income is up. As long as they can keep profitability, I think this thing probably breaks out from this 3-year base, kind of looking like a SoFi to me. They just got to make sure they continue profitability. So I did buy a little bit of Grab. I want to get that to like 2,000 shares over the next couple of months. Hopefully I can get it under like a 650 average. We'll see. But overall, I think the thesis on there probably makes a lot of sense. The cash secured premiums are like non-existent on Grab. It's like really bad. I tried to sell $5 put, and it's just not liquid, right? There's not a lot of liquid options for this. That's the opposite of MicroStrategy. There is a ton of liquid options for MicroStrategy. That's why MicroStrategy has so much of a interesting ecosystem. But yeah, you could try to sell some puts for like a month out at $5, and you'll get a little bit of premium, but not a ton of premium. Amit, why don't you buy some leaps on Grab and exercise in the future? Yeah, I think that's fair as well. Buying leaps on Grab at like $5 and exercising 2 years from now, I think that's actually probably a little bit smarter because you get to control that many shares for a smaller amount of money. So that is a fair point. I didn't really just think of that just because, I just bought 25 shares to at least get a little bit of position, but I agree that is not a bad idea. All right, Tesla. Let's talk about Tesla. So this is what happened yesterday with Kim Kardashian, celebrity. Everyone knows her, I imagine, and Optimus. Now, look, I think Tesla's paying her to do this stuff because the amount of time she has posted around Cybertruck and Optimus, etc., like she gets paid millions of dollars a post. I don't know what they're paying her. I really doubt she's doing this from the goodness of her heart. I mean, she's a businesswoman at the end of the day, but regardless of if they're paying her or not, it's working. This is her holding hands with an Optimus robot and sitting on the Optimus's lap, inside of a cyber cap. I mean, this is just incredible, dude. This is just this is just absolutely incredible. I like, if anything, to me, this just gets me excited about the future around what Optimus is going to look like from a marketing perspective when they get this thing fully rolled out. And you know, the amount of celebrities and influencers that are going to be working with Optimus just to make videos and skits and all this type of stuff. So Tesla right here is at 346, down a little bit in the pre-markets. It looks like Elon is teasing humanoid robotics a lot more, and they're doing it via Kim Kardashian. Now, why are they teasing humanoid robotics more? Well, I have two theories on it. The first theory is that 2025 is going to be the year where they unveil something in regards to Optimus that the street has not even for a second priced into Tesla. It is not priced into Tesla, the TAM and magnitude of humanoid robotics and how massive that can be. You know, Elon says a lot of things, and you can believe him or not believe him on a lot of things. When he says Optimus could be a $25 trillion business, I genuinely think the potential is there. Will they execute? I don't know, but the potential is absolutely there. And I think they can do that. So I think they're teasing humanoid robotics as like a idea that they're going to get bigger into in 2025, because why else would you send Optimus to Kim Kardashian to do a photo op with, right? Like you're obviously signaling, like if you're not going to talk about Optimus for the next couple of years, you wouldn't do that. But they probably are. And I think probably in the next couple of months, they're going to talk about Optimus, which is why you're seeing them do the celebrity influencer stuff. And then I think the other reason is Brett from Figure. Figure AI released a really awesome video yesterday of their robots in BMW building cars or building certain parts to be able to build on top of cars autonomously. I think this video is one of those things that Elon probably saw yesterday, and he was like, you know what? We cannot let this little startup, this little $2 billion startup, take away any of the humanoid robotics press or shine from Tesla. And so I think at some level, Elon's thinking, all right, it's time to ramp up Optimus stock, or Optimus, the product, which will hopefully ramp up the stock as well. And that is why we're seeing a little bit more momentum in the context of Optimus. So I think we're going to kind of see what happens, but ultimately I think it will be very, very important. Ty says Optimus can't do a single useful real world thing on its own. It cannot navigate the average home. Zero chance. It's a useless product, a toy for the foreseeable future. So I can see that perspective. What I am not bullish on Optimus, at least for the next 10 years, is it actually being in your home and like doing laundry. And I want to be very clear. I don't care about Optimus being in your home. Like, that is not the thesis to me. The thesis is labor shortages inside of warehouses and enterprises across the world. An $80 trillion market that is just labor. Forget doing your dishes, like just labor, just like workers in Amazon and Walmart and Kohl's and Target, etc. All of them potentially having the opportunity to be replaced via Optimus. That's not going to happen overnight, but that it probably will happen over the next 20 years. I think the beginning of that we're going to start to see over the next 4 or 5 years. That to me is a very big market. It's a very, very, very big market, because as a company, you just have to think about it logically. If you have $100,000 you're paying for an employee and you get to pay $50,000 to lease a robot, and that robot doesn't take any breaks, the maintenance is like maybe $10,000 a year, right? Like, you don't have to deal with HR, none of this stuff. It's a no-brainer for companies. It's just an absolute no-brainer for companies. And if companies are going to do that, again, whether you hate it or not, you could have hated Uber, but the world has switched from taxis to Uber. Technology doesn't stop for anybody. And that technological revolution inside of the enterprise, forget it doing your dishes or doing your laundry, it's a very big opportunity. And I think that alone is a reason to own Tesla. The question is, when the hell is Tesla going to execute on this? Because we still don't have robo-taxis yet. And, you know, Elon's promised that for 10 years. And so you've got to really hope that they're quick to market on this in the next couple of years. And, you know, I would assume they're trying to be, given that they're sending Optimus to Kim Kardashian to, I guess, take photos with, to put it nicely. So that's what we got on Tesla. Target's down 17%. Okay, why is Target down 17%? I am starting to think Target has some issues in regards to pricing. The reason people are picking Walmart over Target is just because there's better deals. And Target knows that. And unfortunately, Target has not, I think, necessarily figured out how to deal with it. Real quick, before we get into Target, OKLO just got shorted. OKLO just got shorted by a popular firm. Where's OKLO right now? OKLO is down 5%. There you go. OKLO is getting tanked. OKLO is getting tanked. Here we go. So the same firm, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that shorted MicroStrategy, Carisdale Capital, I could be wrong on this, but I believe they shorted MSTR back in like March. They are now short OKLO. They are calling the timeline laughable. Calls the 2027 deployment goal beyond optimistic, citing regulatory hurdles that could take 4 years to approve. Technology concerns highlight risks within sodium-cooled reactor technology, which has faced reliability issues, including fires and leaks in the past. We are short OKLO. OKLO's claimed unit economics are nonsensical. Its managements are academics with weak real-world commercialization experience. Its tech engineering team dramatically trails peers, and its projected timelines are laughable. There you go. We got a short on OKLO. They're the ones who shorted MSTR, right? If you guys know, if they shorted MSTR, I mean, they don't have the best history, at least this year, in terms of shorting. Because I remember when they shorted MSTR, and I got a call from a couple of people who are long MSTR, and they're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And obviously that short has not worked out so far. But if they have better logic on this one, maybe it works. If not, then it might end up having the same fate. Okay, so Target, what is happening with Target right now? They missed on everything. They shorted ASTS. Okay, so that one wasn't good for them either. Revenue is down. Revenue is slightly up 1% year over year, but it missed estimates. EPS is down 12% year over year. Comparable sales missed. Gross margin missed by about 1%. Inventory, they have $15 billion up in terms of inventory. That's up 2.9% year over year. They cut their guidance for full year 2024 adjusted EPS, Q4 adjusted EPS, and Q4 comparable sales are expected to remain flat. That is bad because that's holiday season. And if they're not raising their guidance for a holiday season, for Q4 at least, like that's not good, right? Like that means they don't think people are actually going to come to Target to shop. The CEO said strong traffic growth of 2.4% and robust digital performance highlights Target's resilient fundamentals despite challenges impacting our bottom line performance. We remain focused on delivering value for the holiday season and long-term financial goals. He also said consumers have become increasingly resourceful and strategic in how they shop, aka Target's expensive and they're not coming here. Customers know deals are out there and they're willing to wait for the exact right moment to head into our stores or log into our app, or just not, this is my commentary, or just not come into the store because Target is too expensive. So I think this is a Target issue. I don't think this is a consumer issue, particularly because Target, you guys remember 2 months ago, they were late to reduce prices on 5,000 items. Why were they late to reduce prices on 5,000 items? Because they wanted to be greedy and they thought, oh, well, you know, if inflation's still up there, the consumer's still willing to pay these prices. And then Walmart reduced their prices. This was back in like February, and everyone went to Walmart because they were like, dude, we're not paying this much for eggs. Like Walmart has it cheaper. And so Target was late to reduce prices. It seems like they're still late to reduce some prices. And obviously, you know, consumers are being more cost conscious. That's just not working out well for Target. So that's what you got on Target. They're down right now. Is this valuable? Is there some deep value here? I have no idea. I think there might be some deep value in Target. I guess we'll kind of see where momentum goes today. And then we can assess if there's an opportunity here in Target. All right, folks, here we go. We got 10 seconds into the close. All eyes on Robinhood. It does look like that $37 open might end up happening. It has been an incredible journey covering this stock. 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. All right, Robinhood, 36.64, opens up 4% on the day. Just got sold off at 37 on the open. Not bad at all. The fact that it was able to cross 37 is really important. We'll check the resistance in a second. Oh, there you go. Back at 37. Back at 37. Just touched it right there. 36.98, up 4.9%. There you go. 37.16. 37.16 on Robinhood. A lot of volatility right there. Now back down to 36.97, but it wants that $37 range, up 5% on the day. Absolutely incredible for Robinhood. You got Tesla right here, 344, down about 0.44% on the day. Grab is down 1.1%. Grab was up 10% yesterday. Where is Microstrategy? Up 9% on the day. Microstrategy at 467. Currently, new all-time highs hit 469, 467.45 right now. 8.3% up on the day for Microstrategy. Target gets hit, down 17%. Look, Target does have a 3.5% divvy. Something we got to look at. I'm going to look at it tonight. I'm going to go through the financials. This happened back in March when they fell 17% and they came back up. I don't think Target's going anywhere. I think that store is going to be around for a long time. They have a 3% dividend, so I will take a look at it tonight and we'll do some more due diligence on it on Friday. But Target right here at 127, down 18% on the day. SoFi, 1459, up 1.1%. SoFi breaking out of these 14.15s, maybe on its way to $15. MicroStrategy now 470. Bitcoin 94.7, trying to get to 95. We have not seen 95. Bitcoin 94,749 and 93 cents right here. S&P 500 590. Applied Digital is at 960. They're up 3% right now. Applied Digital did get bought some of their shares by Nvda, and that's why the stock has been seeing a run over the past couple of days. DraftKings up 1%. Gambling is in effect, and it is in trend right now. We saw Flutter's earnings. They own FanDuel. Their gambling revenues up 51% in North America year over year. People are gambling, and that is a tailwind for DraftKings. Nvidia slightly down about 0.33%. Bakkt Holdings, this is the cryptocurrency exchange that Trump's Truth Social is buying. They're up another 14% after being up 162% a couple days ago. SMCI down 3%. HIMS down 6%. Why is HIMS down 6%? Why? I don't get it. Wow, Robinhood. Oh my goodness. 37.40. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. What's the 38 resistance on Hood? Let's check that right now. 38 resistance on Hood. Why is HIMS down? Can someone tell me why is HIMS down again today? 38 has 29,000 shares. Oh, I think it wants 38. 29,000 shares is not that crazy. 37.50 on Robinhood. Look at SoFi, 1480. Look at SoFi. SoFi, let me check SoFi 15 resistance. SoFi 15. SoFi. By the way, the SoFi options are now up 325%. We're up 11 grand on those options. If SoFi goes to 20, then we could make more than a 10x on those by January 2026. So we're leaving those options in play. 15 has 300,000 shares, 298,000 shares. That seems like a lot, but on SoFi's volume, it's not that crazy. So 298,000 shares. Robinhood, 37.69, 37.72 on Robinhood. Absolutely incredible. MicroStrategy, 475. Bitcoin's trying to make its way to 95,000. Where is Palantir? Palantir, 62.97. Palantir, basically flat on the day. Nope, Palantir is green. Palantir is green. Palantir is green at $63. Currently on the day, was down about 10% 2 days ago. Palantir now green. Bitcoin 94,752. Where is Tesla? Is Tesla green? Tesla down about 0.5%. So Tesla's still red. Currently on the day, SMCI is down, TSM is down, Vertiv is down. They were up 15% yesterday, and Nvda is down 1.2% on the day. Netflix did get upgraded to $1,000 today. The firm that upgraded Netflix is Pivotal Research. Pivotal Research upgraded them to $1,100. They had a $925 target. Now they upgraded them to $1,100. They did think that the Tyson Paul fight was a tailwind for Netflix, and that should drive ultimately more subscriber growth. Netflix right here at $884, up 1.46% of the day. Robin at $37.80. Oh my goodness. They are up 7.29% on the day. That's pretty incredible. I think SoFi wants 15 as well, 1488. I think SoFi wants 15. Where's the other fintech? Square is up 0.42%. Affirm, they had a good day yesterday. Affirm is down a little bit today. They were up a lot yesterday, so that's fair. Enphase down about 1%. PayPal's up 1.58%. Ethereum's up a little bit. Honest is down 4%. ASTS is down 4%. All the medical or the pharma companies are down about 1%. OKLO, they are now getting shorted. OKLO is down 9%. OKLO getting hit, down 9% currently on the day for OKLO. Oh, Marathon. I did get into a little bit of Marathon yesterday. Got into some of the leaps that Chris got into. Marathon up 7% on the day, 21.38. Look, either you believe that the market will see them as a second version of MicroStrategy or not. That's kind of the thesis here. I think Chris has a point. If they're able to raise money at cheap interest and then be able to buy Bitcoin with it, and the market's willing to give them more money than they even asked for. Again, the round was oversubscribed. That means the market has faith in this. And so Marathon right here was at, I think, $18 yesterday, 21 today, up 8.4%. Are the other Bitcoin miners doing well? CleanSpark's up 5%. So again, Marathon outperforming that. And then Riot's up about 5%. So Marathon's still outperforming the other miners today, probably on that overarching thesis around them becoming a pseudo MicroStrategy. Robinhood getting a little bit of a cooler right here, 37.45, up 6.25% on the day. SoFi 14.83, MicroStrategy 4.77, up 10%, and Bitcoin 94,500 right now. Amit, your thoughts on Meet Kevin buying Tesla now? I watched his video yesterday. I was curious on why he's buying Tesla. Look, at the end of the day, you got to give it to him. He admitted he was wrong. I think that's what people wanted to hear. He did admit that he was wrong. He kind of slid the admitting in there. He didn't like flat out say it. He kind of just like slid it while doing his analysis. But he still thinks Tesla is expensive. He just thinks that the robotics piece of Tesla is going to be bullish. And he ultimately thinks that the Trump Elon relationship is bullish, which is, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what everyone thinks. So it's not like a unique thesis. But he's back in Tesla. It's a 5% position. He's also back in Enphase. He's also back in SMCI. I know a lot of people are giving him shit for selling Tesla at like 170, getting back in at 340. But nonetheless, he's back in Tesla. So Tesla right here, 341, kind of converting everyone that got bearish on the name to start getting bullish again on Tesla. Robinhood right here, 37.23, MicroStrategy 478, SoFi 1475, all of them getting a little bit of resistance at those 1480s or 3780 levels. Target now down 19% on the day. If you really wanted to get some targets, selling puts today, this is the day where you sell puts. If you have a thesis on target, the day to sell puts is not yesterday when it was at 150. It's today when it's at 125. You sell a put for maybe 115, 120. And you hope that if it goes down even more than 20%, you're happy to buy those shares and you collect a premium. That is the logic of selling puts on days like these. I just don't know if it's worth selling a put on Target yet. I'm really going to look through their financials because I'm looking for dividend stocks next year. There's almost a 4% dividend. It's down 20%. I really don't think Target's going anywhere. Target is not bigger than Walmart, but it's going to be around, I would imagine, for a long time. So we will take a look at Target. Rocket Lab down about 1.7%. Hims, why is Hims down? Did anyone say in the chat why Hims was down 6%? Like, why does this stock go up 7 and down 6% on the day, like every day, off random headlines? It is unbelievably volatile. And I know the shorts are there. Oh, Hims got a buy rating of $28 by TD Cowen. So they reiterated their buy target today. But still, there's like some headline that's getting hit on Hims. TSM down 1.6%. SMCI getting a nasty hit. They were up 30% yesterday. Now they're down 4%. Hims right here down 5%. Rocket Lab down 1.6%. Robin at 37.11. All right, so you're starting to see a little bit of momentum cool off. That's fair. Bitcoin cooling off as well. 94,294 currently right now. There was insider selling. Is that the reason why? Kind of immune to that because, you know, the stock that I own only goes up when the insiders. By the way, guys, you know, no one's going to love me saying this, but Carp sold another 100,000 shares yesterday, which is smaller than the 1 million shares he's been selling every single day. So, you know, maybe he's done. Maybe that final 100,000 is like he's done selling. But, you know, Palantir still holding 60 is like just incredible, dude. Like, I think people, I know we're getting desensitized to seeing 60 because every day that it stays there, it's like, oh, yeah, Palantir 60. We were at $141 billion market cap. I mean, it is just, oh, by the way, if you think the Palantir leadership thinks that this valuation is insane or that they don't fully agree with it, well, some of their insider sales might be kind of signaling that to an extent. However, Ted Marbury, who is the head of commercial at Palantir, this is what he said today. He was responding to an alumni that says, the alumni on Twitter was like, oh, I'm kind of missing Palantir. He says, to be clear, you didn't miss it by leaving. It's still right here and as much at the very beginning as when you left. We have a fundamental insight with AIP akin to the decisions, not data secret that made Foundry so special that we are just beginning with. We have infinite space to build the future of the product into. We have access to virtually every single one of the most important problems affecting society. We will be a $1 trillion company. Just seeing that from Ted Marbury say that today, I mean, that was pretty incredible to see because at the end of the day, he's saying, look, AIP is special. The rest of the market doesn't understand that the ontology and Foundry is what makes AI valuable. That's what Palantir has layered on top of AIP. That was the secret that we unlocked years ago. And we're going to $1 trillion. We're taking this fucker to $1 trillion. And so that just seeing that right there is very exciting from a Palantir C-suite. Now, granted, does that mean the stock is cheap right here? I mean, if you think it's going to $1 trillion in the next 10 years, then yeah, I guess it's cheap at $140 billion. But fundamentally, given the growth, it is probably more expensive. But leadership thinks that they're going higher, and that is great to see in the context of Palantir. So that's what we got from leadership in Palantir. All right, so let's see what else do we got. Palantir 6180, Robin at 3710. Grab is up a little bit today. It was down 10%. Now Grab is up 0.72%. You guys are saying, look at Zim. They had their earnings yesterday. They're up 11% on the day. All right, so I guess they had some pretty decent earnings. Zim Integrated Shipping, they are a shipping company. They're up currently 11%. How much are they up year to date? Zim stock. I know they were getting a surge when the port strike was going on back in October. They're up 166% year to date. I mean, dude, the fact that Walmart is outperforming Meta, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and Apple just goes to show you how big of a year this was for picking stocks that were in the right sector. Apple up a little bit right now. Tesla is down on the day 1.8%. Nvda is also down 1.7%. Let's take a look at semis. It looks like they are taking a little bit of a breather, as Matthias says. Yeah, look at the left-hand side of my screen. Look at all the semis. Hit. AMD down 2%, Nvidia down 2%, SMCI down 7%, Intel down 2%, ASML down 2%, everything down 2% across the board. I think this is the pre-earnings dump on Nvidia. People are scared. They're getting cold feet. They think Jensen might leave them at the altar. And As a result, they're selling out. They're taking some gains. By the way, you guys know the costly mistake I made when I did the same thing on Nvidia. Not on Nvidia, but because of Nvidia. I sold some Robinhood options I had at $13 freaking in my Roth, in my tax-free account in February when Nvidia was 60 and they went down to like 55. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to crash. And then they went to 80 the next day on great earnings. And, my 5,000 profit could have been like 90,000 today. So that definitely stung. So far, betting against Nvidia on earnings day has not necessarily worked out. Last quarter, it went down 10%, but then it recovered relatively quickly. But I think the street's getting a little bit of those jitters. RCAT, you guys are saying RCAT. I haven't heard of this one. Red Cat Holdings, they're up 27%. Another small cap, 460 million. I'll put it on the list. I've not heard of this company before, but we will put RCAT on the list and see what they do. You blame me for that? No, Philip, I do blame you for this. All right, Philip, I'm going to publicly blame you for this. When I said I had 200 call options in my Roth at a $25 strike on Robinhood, when I bought it when it was a $10 strike, you were in the chat. This was early on the market open days in January, and your comment was like, 200 call options? You're such a degenerate. And you made me feel bad, and I sold 50 of them. I'm blaming you for this, Phil. I am blaming you 100%. I'm not actually blaming you, but still, I was like, damn, this guy, Philip Rizzo in the chat, who has a fucking frog as his emoji, is making me feel bad. And I fucking sold 50 of the, like, I legit, I'm joking, but I'm also being serious. I'm like, I kind of like, yeah, I shouldn't have 200. This is my Roth IRA. This is my retirement. I got to be like planning for retirement. Like, motherfucker, I'm 25. Like, I don't need to worry about planning. If I lose that like $50 or whatever, like, what was it? $5,000. It's okay. That 5,000 could have been 90,000, bro. 90 freaking. And that's when I realized, hey, you got to have your own conviction. I'm blaming Philip here as a joke, but like at the end of the day, you have to have your own conviction. If someone in the chat can get rid of your conviction, you don't have conviction. Now, thankfully, I kept the majority of my position, but that was in the Roth, bro. That one hurts. That was in the fucking Roth. That was going to be tax free. I mean, you can only contribute 7,000 to your Roth every year. That's a 90. That's like 10 years. That's more than 10 years of Roth contributions in one trade. Granted, I probably would have sold it at 30 or 40,000. I don't think I would have waited to 90,000. I wouldn't have waited till Robinhood's at 37. I would have sold it like much earlier than that. But still, it felt bad. So you gotta have conviction. You gotta have conviction if you believe in something, and not let anyone take you off that. QUBT is up 28% right now. $3.20, up 26%. All right, so quantum computing getting a little bit of momentum. IONQ 2950 also up 6% on the day. By the way, shout out to Philip. He's been watching the channel for like 3 years now, so he knows I'm messing with him right here. But he's literally been on the market open, I think, every day for like almost 2 to 3 years. And he was telling me to look at Bitcoin a while ago, and I was being stubborn about it. And he definitely got me to come around on Bitcoin. So shout out to Philip. Thank you for being here, bro. And thank you for being part of the community. Robinhood 37.65. Okay, so Netflix 885, Robinhood trying to make its way back to 38. I think it wants 38. 37.88 was a lot of momentum. I think it wants that. I think the upgrade today got bullish. For those that are just joining, Robinhood got upgraded to $51 today by Bernstein. And that is why they're likely moving along with Bitcoin. The upgrade was primarily built off their new crypto offerings that should be beneficial to their bottom line. SoFi right here, 1474. SoFi, I think it wants 15. Momentum is strong. MicroStrategy, 468, taking a little bit of a breather from 479 to 460. Nvda down about 1.3% on the day. Hey, Mitt, what do you think about Grab? I like it. I think Grab's a buy. At $5, it's a buy. You might, maybe you can wait until it gets to 5.20, 5.10. But if you don't care about those 10, 30, 40 cents, I think Grab's a buy. I like it. And I bought some yesterday. Are you guys buying calls to protect your Palantir shares? Melody, I think you mean if you have covered calls on your shares, are you buying calls to protect it? That's a good question. For anyone in the chat who has covered calls on Palantir, are you buying calls to protect your upside if your shares get called away? I don't think anyone's doing that outside of TJ, who got rid of most of his shares and kind of did this strategy. I don't think a lot of people are. Let's look at the open interest. Let's see what people are doing. So let's go to Palantir, January 2027. Let's go, $70 strike? That's reasonable. If you were buying calls, I guess you would think 70 by January 2027. Let's see the open interest. It is, it's not. It's a 1,300. It's not a lot. $80 calls, 2,000 of them. That's a little bit more. $95 calls have 830. $90 calls have 1,500. Let's go to January 2026. There's probably going to be some more. $70 call, January 2026. $1,890 call, 2,900. Yeah, there's just not a lot. I mean, there's good volume, or there's good open interest, but it's not like massive open interest going into those higher strikes on Palantir. Maybe because people don't fully believe that Palantir is going to be able to get to $70, $80 in a year from now if it collapses back down to 40. But if it holds 60 and they reaccelerate earnings growth, I mean, either the street's going to keep them at 60 and say, hey, we gave you a big multiple, be happy, like don't ask for more, or they're going to take the sucker to 70, 80 if they actually show growth of 35 to 40%, which, look, if Palantir gets to 40% growth, and I've said this over the past couple months, Robin at 37.84, it's going higher. Like the market cap probably still would be hard to justify at 40% growth, even if even if they reaccelerate revenues, but it doesn't matter at that point. Oh my God, Robinhood's trying to get 38. The market will get excited and they will give Robinhood, or they will give Palantir an upside premium. They're just going to give them that if Palantir is able to reaccelerate revenue growth, because it's one of the only software AI plays in the market that's going. Oh wow, it touched 38. You're right. We did touch 38. We did touch 38. Palantir 61.81, Affirm 63.70. Robinhood, I think we touched 78, or not 78. Maybe one day 78. I think we touched 38. Did we? Did we touch 38? No, now we're there. We touched it again. There you go. $38 on Robinhood, baby. This is pretty incredible. Robinhood. Oh, I got to make the Twitter post. Robinhood is now at IPO price. Oh my goodness. Robinhood is now at IPO price. Guys, this company IPO'd 3 years ago in, the zero interest rate phenomena time that we had at $38. They went through hell. They went all the way down to $6.50. They are back at IPO price. Oh, that's pretty incredible, dude. Congratulations to Vlad, the team. If there's any Robinhood employees that are watching, congrats as well. You guys executed. You guys deserve it. And it's pretty incredible. Market cap $33 billion. It has $5 billion in cash. So the enterprise value is $28 billion, growing at 36%, with crypto tailwinds at a pretty high level. Pretty damn incredible. Where is Marathon right now? Marathon is 2178, up 9% of the day. Marathon 2078, up 9% on the day. Robinhood 3788, getting a little bit of a resistance from 38. Netflix 884, and then MicroStrategy. Wow, MicroStrategy 485, all-time high on MSTR. All-time high on MSTR. 484. Put in the chat if you're in MSTR. Put in the chat. I don't think I've asked the chat before. How many of you are in? Put a 1 in the chat if you're in MSTR in some way. Shares, options, whatever. Put a 1 in the chat if you're in MSTR. Let's see. Who is actually in MSTR? 485 right here. I don't think a lot of you guys are. Or if you are, you're in a little bit of MSTR, but I don't think a ton of you guys are super in the name. Robin at 3789 right here. Oh, actually, we got a lot more ones than I thought. All right. So we have some decent ones. Yeah, we got some people. in it. Lots of degens. Dude, was it really degenerate to go into MSTR calls early this year? Like, conventionally speaking, from a pure vocabulary perspective, if we define the word degenerate and we look at the surrounding factors and potential catalysts and risks to investing in MicroStrategy calls at the beginning of the year, it meets the definition of degenerate. But was it actually degenerate given the extenuating circumstances on what catalyst would be there to allow MicroStrategy to potentially go higher? Was it actually degenerate? Same thing with Robinhood, dude. Robinhood at $7, $8. I remember there were some people calling me a degen for buying call. I'm like, but there's a lot of time on these calls, and like it's trading below cash. Like it does, and there's a company here. Like I'm using this thing every day, and crypto's coming back. Like, what are you talking? So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes the things that look degen are just asymmetric instead, even if they're degenerately asymmetric. And there's a lot of opportunities. Netflix 885, Square is down about 2%. MicroStrategy 483, Robinhood 3779 currently right now. Look at Bay Ray in the chat. I'm up 17x on my HUD leaps. See, like it's only the stock market, dude. Only the stock market in crypto can you actually get that type of return. It's not easy to get it, and you got to have years where things really suck to be able to get things cheap. Oh, there was this great chart. I don't know if I saved the chart, but there was this chart of of like buying when there was, let me see if I saved it. There was this guy who like worked on Wall Street, and he said in 1987, when everything was crashing, he got calls from 2 of his clients. Both of those clients were 80 years old, and he had hundreds of clients, and only 2 of those clients called him, and they said, buy. And the point he was trying to make is that those clients that were 80 years old, they've been through market cycles. They know that when shit crashes, you buy, because unless you think America's failing, you buy. And so those clients did very well from 1987, whereas the other clients that told him to sell, they missed out on the next 10 years of gains. So it's one of those things where, when things get pretty oversold and it's bearish, maybe there's opportunities there. Only in America, 1,000%. America has the freedom and the democracy to allow us to have a thriving stock market like we have right now. SoFi, Gary, what is this? I thought this was a press release. This is just a comment where you put a bunch of tickers. I thought this was a press release. I saw SoFi and Rocket Lab. I was like, is there a press release between SoFi and Rocket Lab? Press release. SoFi and Rocket Lab are going to the moon, baby. If I was Noto, I would do that. That's why I'm not Noto. That's why they don't allow me to be the CEO of a public company. If I was Noto, if I was CEO of Robinhood, I would say press release, Robinhood stock going to the moon. I mean, I might do that. That's why I'm not the CEO of a public company. That's why I'm not. But I might do that. I might just do that. Bitcoin right here, 94,783. DraftKings, 4,364. TSM, 186. SMCI, down 6%. SMCI not getting love after getting that new auditor. IWM, 229 as well. Disney, 111. Disney is as well also down. Domino's, 438 on the day. And then you got Hood at 37.94. Okay, we got to do the tweet. Let me do the tweet real quick. Let me do the tweet. So here's the tweet. I'm going to post it right now. Saylor just talked about increasing the $1.75 billion offering to $2.6 billion. He writes, given high demand, we upsized our MSTR offering of 0% convertible bonds. Again, 0% convertible bonds due 2029 from $1.7 billion to $2.6 billion. That means more people came up to him and they said, hey, please take another $850 million because we want you to go do what you do with Bitcoin via MicroStrategy. Okay, let me do the tweet real quick. Robinhood is now at its IPO price of $38 after more than 3 years. The company... Okay, let me put this there. Target's still dipping. Goodness gracious, dude. Target down 21%. Chris, we got to look at Target, bro. We got to see if there's an opportunity here. I got to call up Steve too. We got to see if there's anything in Target. 21% for a retailer that missed revenue by like 300 million does not feel like it's I don't know. It just feels a little aggressive to me. Unless the street thinks that Walmart's taking their lunch and guidance was just that bad. Marathon as well, up 9% on the day. Shout out to Chris on that one yesterday. Marathon, you got up 9% currently right now on the day. Palantir 61, MicroStrategy 479. MicroStrategy was at 488. And you got Hood right here at 37.60. Not bad at all. His 3-year plan is going to be done in 3 months at this rate. Yeah, I mean, there's a shot it gets done in 3 months right here. Okay, so 37.50 on Hood. There was another ticker I wanted to look at. Forgetting the name of it. Oh yeah, I want to look at some of the software plays. So we got so look at the software plays. They're all pretty much red outside of Adobe and Salesforce. Salesforce, by the way, if you bought that dip at 212, congrats. Yeah, I guess it was a good dip to buy now at 324 if you believe agents are going to be their tailwind. So Datadog, I'm forgetting the Wall Street firm, but they said this is their top pick for 2025. I'm forgetting the name of the firm. It is one of the Wall Street firms. They said top pick Datadog. They believe free cash flow is good, multiples are good, revenue is good. And this was one of the names, along with Snowflake, that people are thinking are a bit oversold that potentially could do better. Now, having said that, this is the picture I wanted to show when it comes to software. This is the picture I wanted to show. Let me pull this up real quick. I just need to text it to myself from here. This picture kind of highlights, it has to do with Palantir, and it highlights why some people are feeling a little nervous about it. But still, to me, it doesn't account for kind of the full overarching thesis. Okay, here it is. All right, let me pull this up. So when you guys see this chart, I mean, speaking of the software sector, it kind of puts into perspective the premium that Palantir is at right now. So here you go. This is the picture. If I can pull it up right here. Okay, here you go. Here you go. So take a look at this. Take a look at this. This was wild when I saw this is kind of wild, bro. So out of the software large cap companies worth 20 billion, look at Palantir compared. This is enterprise value over a calendar year 2025 sales compared with Workday, Microsoft, Snowflake, MongoDB, Shopify, Net, AppLovin, CrowdStrike, Fortinet, Autodesk, Zoom, IBM, etc. And then in terms of security and analytics, take a look at Palantir compared to all the cybersecurity names. Like I saw this morning and I was like, oh, that's, yeah, we're out there, right? Nonetheless, we continue to hold $60 because Josh is not going to lie. This is scary. It does feel kind of scary, but it also feels like Palantir wasn't invited, right? As someone says right here, it's like the kid wasn't invited to the play. It's like Palantir wasn't invited. It's like all these guys are having their little party and they're just like not allowing Palantir. And Palantir's like, all right, we're getting rich. You guys can have your stupid little party, but we're getting rich. So this is pretty incredible. You can't deny it is absolutely pretty incredible. But the market is willing to give Palantir their premium, maybe because Palantir, the market feels, is going to be worth a lot more in terms of just revenue growth, acceleration, and overall moat than a lot of those companies like one we're looking at right here, which is Snowflake. So as a result, you kind of got to just say, all right, this is what the market thinks. Look, we've been holding 50 and 60 for 2 weeks now. For anyone thought 50 or 60 was like just crazy overpriced or expensive, I feel you there. But we've been holding it for 2 weeks, which is pretty damn incredible. 37.20 right here on Hood, getting a little bit of a red candle right there. Bitcoin, 94,007. Not bad. 94,007. So Robin is getting a bit of a red candle from resistance, but it's not necessarily going down because Bitcoin is going down, because Bitcoin is going up. Bitcoin is trying for that $95,000 level. Those charts just show how much more valuable Palantir is than the rest. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, again, institutional investors are buying Palantir more than retail. That is a fact. That's facts. That's not like 2022. This is facts. Institutional investors are loading up on Palantir more than retail. If they think paying 140 billion or 100 billion or whatever is worth it, and I mean, as per this chat, so many people have said that they've dumped their shares and they're up 4, 5, 10x and they deserve to dump their shares, right? Then it's not a GameStop rally where like retail is controlling the stock. That's just not happening here. I mean, if retail were to dump collectively 10% today of all their shares, I feel like maybe we'd go down to 55, which still is like a $120 billion market cap. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just think it's in a different control right now. And we all have to be, I guess, to an extent, humble enough to accept that there's other players in here that want to own exposure to Palantir. So that's what we got going on right now in the context of Palantir. I mean, it's kind of funny if retail like us made a shit ton of money on Palantir, then institutions buy and they lose money again. Yeah, well, so here's the thing. If Palantir could drop and the institutions could lose money, but I don't think they're buying Palantir to lose money. I really think they're buying Palantir because they believe it's a winner in this AI thematic. And I mean, why else would you pay that much money for it, right? There's got to be a logic there. There got to be a reason there. And I think, you know, for good or bad, they're thinking that that reason is real. And as a result, they are getting into the name. Okay, so 10:30 slams kind of happening at 10 a.m. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback right here. S&P is, oh, there you go. S&P is down 0.5%. The Qs are down 0.5%. All right, getting some volatility to the downside. Netflix also losing some of its gains. Grab's still up 2%. Bitcoin's still trying to get to 95,000. So although the market's getting a little bit of a slam right here, and that's probably why Robinhood and SoFi are falling, not because of Bitcoin, but just because algos are selling it off with the broader market. Bitcoin is trying to get to 95,000. Again, one of the most interesting things about Bitcoin yesterday is after the geopolitical headlines around Russia and Ukraine, Bitcoin still went high. I mean, it didn't move. It didn't care. It made a new all-time high yesterday. So the fact that geopolitical stuff could not get Bitcoin down today was a pretty big sign of strength. The VIX is up 5%. Yeah, there you go. So VIX is moving right here. That is why stocks are moving a bit to the downside. All right. What else? We got targets pumping. Are we actually getting a little bit of juice on target? There's that little green candle from 121 up to 123. Target's still down 20%, dude. Goodness gracious. That is a lot. That is a lot for Target. All right, let's get some updates from the suits, kind of see what they're saying about the broader market. And then we will keep going from there. I think we have a little bit of macro data to look at as well. So we'll take a look at that. And then we will keep going. We'll keep an eye on Bitcoin as well at this 94.7 range.
0.5%. Most sectors are lower. Energy and healthcare are your standout winners. Consumer discretionary at the bottom of the pack. Target story, among other names, weaker today in that group. Consumer staples, information technology, communication services, they're all lower today. Nasdaq's down about 0.75%. We're still higher, though, overall for the week after last week's losses as we get into Wednesday and ahead of Nvidia earnings after the bell, which will be super important. Netflix, though, higher. Warner Brothers, some of the media names higher, bucking the overall trend. Take a look at treasuries. Again, higher yields have been the story, and that continues today, 4.4 on the 10-year yield. So we're not quite at the highs of, say, this cycle we've been in, but again, another day of selling of treasuries with higher yields, almost 3% on the 2-year. It's a light week for economic data. We're 30 minutes here into the trading session. Here are some movers we're watching. Target shares slumping, on pace for the worst day since all the way back in May 2022. The retailer missing earnings estimates, cutting its full year.
Wow. So worst day in 2 years. That smells like opportunity to me. But I'm going to dive deep over the next 2 days. There's a nice divvy there with that. I mean, like, worst day in 2 years feels like either the business has gone the wrong path or they just had a little fuck up and like it'll get fixed in a year and then this thing will be back to 150. So that's one we got to keep an eye on.
Forecast as well. Exclusive comments from the company's COO for you in just a moment. Delta Airlines under pressure. The carrier holding its investor day, saying it expects revenue growth in the mid-single digits next year, which is in line with the roughly 6% growth that analysts were expecting. But the stock is still down about 4.3%. Our parent company, Comcast, planning to spin off most of its cable networks. Shares giving up earlier gains. Much more on what that means for investors and the entire media landscape later this hour. Also just mention Bitcoin because guess what? Hitting new all-time highs again. Crypto-related names riding the rally. Coinbase and Robinhood among them. Some rumors of who President-elect Trump might be looking at potentially for the head of the SEC, playing into that, potentially coming from the crypto space. Every day there's a new catalyst, Bitcoin going higher.
Microstrategy is up another 11%. Remember that, Michael Saylor? It's almost $100 billion market value.
Now in the top 100 market caps?
Microstrategy? Yeah. I think it may be. Yeah. It's almost $100 billion. It's $100 billion.
That is confirmed. I believe I saw that this morning. Microstrategy, and now with the 11% gain, is in the top 100 companies by market cap. Now, MicroStrategy is still not in the S&P 500. Who thinks they can actually get in? Who thinks the S&P committee would let a Bitcoin treasury company into the index? Because if that happens, then I think we got a lot more institutional buying, and then this thing gets to a whole different level.
Their balance sheet is all Bitcoin. They've gone from a tech company to a pure play Bitcoin company, and it's been a good bet and a good ride.
663% this year.
Not bad. Yeah. And he keeps buying.
Yeah.
Like he just buys.
He bought another $4 billion, didn't he? Something like that.
Let's talk about Target, though, because I think that's key to focus on as it relates to what it tells about the consumer and what it tells us about Target overall. So the big disappointment, Target's been having a challenge with sales and growing sales. The big disappointment in today's numbers was the earnings miss, because Target had been a good earnings story as well. The margin miss and earnings missed by 19%. And it was driven by weaker comp store sales, even lower than the market expected, and a 100 basis point gross margin shortfall. They have two issues. Macro, for sure, and where consumers are spending and how they're spending, and market share, clearly, after the good quarter that we saw out of Walmart. I did speak with the COO, Michael Fidelki, about what the story was here when it comes to Target and what they were experiencing. Look, he started out by pointing out what he was pleased with on the good side and said traffic was higher. It was strong. That's good. Another bright spot, he said, was digital, which grew double digits and was an acceleration. But, of course, Fidelki noted the disappointment in the earnings story. And the way that he explained that is he said softer than expected discretionary performance in categories like apparel and home, which are typically more profitable. So we lose the margin there, and it shows up in the bottom line.
Now, what's weird about this is that 5 months ago, they said apparel was doing good. So people stopped buying clothes at Target, I guess. And then a home makes sense because people aren't buying homes right now. So like there's not as much home furnishing people are doing. But why did they decline quarter over quarter in apparel? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just higher prices.
Now, clearly, that was part of the issue. Target's more of a discretionary play than Walmart. The food business did well. The beauty business did well. But apparel was weak. Apparel sales, he said, were down slightly, which is a deceleration. But he said there's hope on the way because cold weather is coming, and that should boost demand for things like coats and sweaters.
Okay, so if global warming becomes more real this year, short Target. That is wild, bro. He says it's going to be called. This is what these C-suites have to jump through on these earnings calls. They have to give a explanation. They have to sell hope at the end of the day. My guy said it's going to get cold. People will buy jackets soon. I mean, that is incredible that's how they're justifying this. And I guess shareholders are not happy. That's why the stock's down 20% right here.
Which they haven't seen. Homes and hard lines has also been a tough category and softer for them for a while. As far as what they're expecting for the holiday season, and how he describes the consumer overall. I said, did the consumer turn down? Are you seeing a weaker consumer?
I don't know.
He said, not necessarily. The consumer's resilient. He used the word resourceful. They're responding to promotions and then using those savings to buy newness.
Sarah, we were talking about this earlier, but what explains Williams-Sonoma then? If you're talking about home, for example, and they had a great quarter, stock is up, 23%. Can you
They're growing
explain
market
that
share
versus what Target's seeing in terms of weakness in home?
Yes, so Williams-Sonoma is growing market share in the category. We know the category was weak. Williams-Sonoma comps were still lower. They were down 2%, but they were expected down 4.4%. So it wasn't as bad as expected. And I think the execution there, and props for Laura Alber and how she's managed this in terms of profitability and savings, cost savings, as well as the ability to grow market share, especially in Pottery Barn Kids, which actually had some stronger performance and were the best comps. Here's the quote that we picked out from here. The quarter was driven by continued improvement in our sales trend, market share gains, and strong profit. As we head into the last quarter of the year, we are optimistic and confident about our...
Okay, so this is kind of weird right here. Jay makes a good point in the chat. I actually didn't think about this. This is a good point. If Trump gets these tariffs out there, and Target has to pay higher prices for their goods because of the tariffs. Obviously, consumers, they would put the cost on consumers, and then consumers would have to pay higher prices. And if Walmart can undercut them, like Walmart always does, then that's an additional reason to not go to Target. That actually is such a good point, and that makes me think twice before wanting to get excited about this dip. Because I think that sentiment alone, Jay, is why the stock's down 20% right now. I think it's less to do with apparel, less that they're missing on their numbers. That's probably part of it. But another part is, hey, wait a second. If you guys already are losing business right now to Walmart, what happens if tariffs come in, prices go up, and then Walmart continues to find a way via just like their economies of scale to undercut you? At that point, that's not exciting for Target. And at that point, that dip gets worse because there's less people that go to Target. Entire market taking a little bit of a dip right now. Target's down 21%, Palantir down 4.2%, Robinhood still up 2% of the day, but 36.24. All the algos are taking down everything right here. SoFi back at 1441. Bitcoin still holding 94,000. Not sure what data just came out or what happened. Maybe it's the 1030 slam happening a little early. I don't think there's any big data today that would send the market down, but maybe people just started taking profits as things started getting a lot of momentum early in the morning. One piece of news, mortgage applications were higher. That's good because more people want to buy a house. That's great. Mortgage applications are 1.7% higher than the previous week, but that's not something that I think would move the entire market. Ukraine fires UK Storm Shadow missiles into Russia. Does that mean the UK gave them those missiles? UK Storm Shadow, are those like the name of the missiles that the United Kingdom provided to them? That could be the headline. Hold on. Let me look at what the Ukraine stuff is happening right now. That could be the headline. That could be the reason market's tanking right here, if that's the reason. Yes. Okay, so Ukraine fired Storm Shadow missiles at Russia, and they were given the missiles by the UK. Yeah, that is correct. 15 minutes ago. Oh boy. Yep, there you go. That is correct. That is likely why we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off right here. Let me see if anyone's covering this news. CNN's talking about Trump picking Dr. Oz to oversee the medical and Medicaid portion of the business. Fox is talking about illegal immigrants. No one's talking about this Ukraine news at all. Okay, we got Fox Business talking about Robinhood. Let's switch to them real quick. Let's just get a little bit of coverage from them. But I'm going to try to get some more of this Ukraine stuff. They're talking about Tesla and Robinhood. Let's go to this, and then we'll try to get some more coverage.
$1,000. Elon Musk says we're going to ramp up production of Optimus in 2026. But in the whole humans versus robots, I don't want my robot to look like me. I don't want it to be my friend. I want it to be something I don't see.
I want it to be something that does something for me that I want done for me.
But not look like you.
Like take the dryer, take the clothes out of the dryer and fold them and put them away. What's wrong with that?
I think Optimus can, although he's not ready to do that for Kim Kardashian.
Shall we move on?
She has servants.
We got to move on. So we're looking at the stocks that are moving. Robinhood is up nearly 3%.
They look at 36, and Bernstein says it's going to 51 because expected cryptocurrency deregulation will help it. Right now, Robinhood lists 19 tokens. Obviously, it can increase that with changes.
Delta.
Look, they say they're only expanding their capacity next year by up to 4%, and Wall Street wanted a little bit more. The stock's down over 4%.
Okay, so no one's talking about Ukraine. Guys, I don't know if Ukraine's the reason why the S&P is down 1% right here. I mean, I feel like it has to be, but I also think algos are coming in off this headline, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of market turmoil. I say turmoil, saying down 1%. It's, you know, it's like, it's kind of natural but still, we were doing really good in the first like 40 minutes of the day, and now it's coming down. I think I feel like what other headline is there? But none of the, like, you would think this is really serious, but none of the news channels are like saying breaking news. We got to cover the Ukraine missile launch, and yeah, the fucking CNBC is talking about Target, bro. Like, you would think they would have a little bit more coverage here. None of them. I can't find a single one that's covering Ukraine. Okay, so if that's what's moving the markets, then I guess we just have to wait until the market moves on from it. What's your thesis on Grab? Consolidated based on the chart, and then now they're profitable. That's it. Very, very simple thesis. The Delta thing is down is a little weird as well. I didn't expect Delta to be down just by reducing some of their capacity, but Delta, that one's down as well.
It is indeed. Williams-Sonoma.
Expensive spatulas. They also own Pottery Barn, surging 23%. They raised their forecast. They credit lower input costs and fewer promotions, and a $1 billion buyback plan doesn't hurt.
24% up. That's nice. Good.
Upper income consumer strong.
Yes, indeed. Lauren, thank you. Coming up, reporters.
Has anyone stopped at Williams-Sonoma before? What is that? Williams-Sonoma? What do they sell? Upper level consumer? Who shops there? Palantir down 4%. Williams-Sonoma. Williams retail company. Williams-Sonoma. I'm looking at the website right now. I've never heard of this thing. They sell electronics. Sonoma? Williams-Sonoma. Dude, this looks like a crappier version of Target. Why is Target doing well, but this looks like a more expensive version of Target. Is this thing worth $279 really? Le Creuset signature enabled cast iron round wide Dutch oven. It's Dutch, that's why. Like, what is going on here? Do they sell clothes? They just sell like home stuff, furniture. How are these guys up 20%, but Target's down 20%? They sell sofas. Leather and vegan leather. Vegan leather is a thing. Why are these couches $11,000? Dude, what the fuck is going on? How is this? What is this stock, bro? What is the ticker on this stupid stock? Williams-Sonoma's $5,000 couches. Yeah, right. The fuck is this? Williams WSM, 24%, $21 billion company. They have a dividend. Oh, they have 1.3% dividend. Dude, don't tell me you guys knew that there was a thing called vegan leather and that they sell this stuff. They IPO'd back in 1987. I mean, the stock looks really nice. They've done very well the past couple of years. They were $11 in 2019. Like, has anyone actually shopped here? You guys are saying you know this stuff, bro? Get out of here. No one knows this stuff. This is like shopping first class. Yeah, basically, this is like getting a first class ticket. They are very high end. They target the wealthy. The wealthy want to buy vegan leather. What is vegan leather? Hold on. What is vegan? Hold on. Let's ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT. What is vegan leather? Vegan leather is a synthetic or plant-based material. Holy crap, dude. To mimic the look and feel of traditional animal leather without using animal products. I wonder how that smells. Vegan leather made by polyvinyl chloride or chlorethane. Okay. Well, they are up 20% and Target's down 20%. So there you go. Quality kitchenware. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like paying $400 for a pot and pan. Like, that is wild. Clean Spark. Where's Clean Spark right now? Clean Spark down 5%. Where's Marathon? See, look, Marathon's holding up while the other miners are going down. I'm starting to believe that the market's thinking of Marathon more as a Bitcoin miner if they're giving them some green while the rest of these Bitcoin miners are going down. That might be happening here. Your car is vegan leather. Does it? Does my Tesla have vegan leather? Tesla seats are vegan leather? Oh shit. All right, bro. Your boy's stepping up in the world, dude. All right, if I got some vegan leather, that means I'm high class now. Dude, the Tesla seats smell great. But then again, they smell like new car smell. So like I don't necessarily know if that's vegan leather. That's just new car smell. New car smell is like the best smell in the world. All right, your boy's upgraded to vegan leather. That's what I wear now. Vegan leather. I love it. Vegan. I'm bougie now. Now he's by his long William Sonoma. No, I've never heard of. I can promise you guys, I've never heard of vegan leather. I've heard of leather, not vegan leather. Yeah, they're doing more revenue than all the Bitcoin miners combined. That's correct. I mean, how much revenue do these guys do? Okay, William Sonoma. Let's just go through their numbers real quick. Revenue was they're buying $1 billion of shares. Their revenue, by the way, is down 3% year over year. They have $827 million in cash. They're not saying how much revenue they did on the press release. That's like super weird. Are they too bougie to like tell us the revenue number on the fucking press release? They're literally, I can't find the revenue number. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. I'll try to find out how much revenue they have somewhere else. But that's weird. That is, I guess. But see, it's so weird, right? If you thought the consumer was struggling, like, I guess you go for a higher class consumer. I guess that's the argument. But the problem is, if the regular consumer is struggling, could the high class consumer still do as well? Because all consumers theoretically would get a little bit of a hit. Robinhood 36.26, Marathon up 6%, Clean Spark down 4%, Williams Sonoma up 24%, WSM. All right, let me get their numbers. Let's get their actual numbers. WSM. Vegan leather is plastic. Really? Plastic is called vegan leather? Okay, so then I've been using vegan leather for a long time. Revenue was $1.8 billion. All right, I got it. $1.8 billion. Net income was $248 million. All right, so they're doing about $8 billion a year in revenue, trailing 12 months. That's what you got on William Sonoma. No, it's not plastic. All right, you guys are conflicting with trying to educate me about this. Wait, you know what? I have AI. ChatGPT. So I'm just going to say, so is vegan leather plastic? Vegan leather can be plastic, but not always. It depends on the type. All right, so technically you all are right at this point. All right, there you go. People who need to buy stuff for their house in the Hamptons, buy it at William Sonoma. Well, there's a market for it. You know, one thing I've realized this year, after connecting with some people who are much wealthier than me, is that there's a lot of money in the world. There's just like a lot of money in this world. And, you know, sometimes when you've got a lot of money, you will choose to indulge in the fancier things of life. And that's what some people choose to do. And I guess William Sonoma is a testament to people being able to spend. I mean, the fact that people even buy like, $10,000 watches and expensive shirts and all that stuff, that just goes to show how much money's out there in the world that people are willing to spend. I mean, I just bought $600 headphones from Apple, right? Like, is it really worth, like, what's the margin on those headphones, bro? $600? Are you kidding me for some AirPod Maxes? Now, granted, they feel great. I'm not going to lie. They're amazing. I love the headphones. Like, I really enjoy using them. They connect immediately when you turn it on. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for convenience. But $600, bro, like, holy crap, for some headphones is kind of insane. People pay it. People indeed pay it. Josh, thanks for the super chat. William Samona. Am I saying it? Dude, of course I'm saying it wrong. You guys know I have to be saying it wrong. Oh, VIX had a great earnings today as well. They crushed on the top and the bottom line. They're up 13%. This is a website builder, Wix.com. $11 billion market cap. They crushed on earnings. Makes sense that they're up 13%. Looks like people are continuing to start different media brands and websites. And so all around, we're seeing different arguments for why parts of the market are still being able to do well in a lot of different verticals. This is deep, right? There's a lot of money in this world amid November 2024. This is deep, right? There's a lot of money in the world, dude. There's a lot of money, bro. This is why, it's sad sometimes when you talk to people that like have this mindset that like rich people are evil or stuff like that. It's like, dude, there's so much money. You can be rich too. Anyone can be rich. Anyone can be rich. Like, it's like, and this channel focuses on the stock market as a way to generate financial independence. But like, you don't got to be upset when someone makes money. Like, there's so much money out there. There's so many opportunities. You got to work for it. You got to be curious enough to like look at the opportunities, but it's out there. There's so much out there. All right, let's get an update on Bitcoin and then we'll keep going from there.
All-time high, getting closer now to the $94,000 level. And this happening as ETF options going live, giving investors a new way to hedge their exposure. Kenzie Segalis is here, joins us with more this morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew.
So what's going on?
Is what U.S. crypto investors have been waiting for. On Tuesday, the Nasdaq listed options on BlackRock's $44 billion spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, day one of trading showed that more than 80% of options volume were call orders to buy Bitcoin, meaning that investors are betting that the token is poised for even more gains. And this is just the first of the U.S.-based asset issuers to offer options. The other 10 providers will soon follow suit, with several more slated to list on the New York Stock Exchange later today. Now, this is really a significant moment for Bitcoin adoption, because rather than just buying and holding the asset, this next stage is all about creating a new margin framework for Bitcoin so that you can amplify your returns. Being able to hedge positions and make leveraged bets is a big draw both to retail and to institutions. And even though we've seen a lot of trading volume on the CME derivatives exchange, getting options tied to these spot crypto products on the Nasdaq and NYSE is a big unlock for traders, because ultimately, Andrew, a more robust onshore derivatives market is how you attract fresh investment, which is a tailwind for the price of Bitcoin.
It really boggles the mind what I was just thinking about. You could do.
Guys, the Bitcoin options, as Matthias says right there, the $100 call for January 2027 has 2,400 in open interest. For January 2025, let's do something reasonable. $60 call, 10,000 are open. Let's do $70 call, January 2025. 900 are open. $100 call, January 2025. 3,000 are opening. People are thinking Bitcoin's going to double by January 2025. 3,000 of those are open. So the call options are going absolutely insane. January 2027, if we do a $50 call or a $55 call, you got 60 of those there. $60 call, you got 117. So you got options activity into the 2027s. That just means more money going into the crypto ecosystem.
You could write calls. You could write calls. You could buy puts to protect your downside. You could sell puts to acquire Bitcoin at a lower price than where it is. You can do spreads. You can do straddles. The volatility is so high, the option premiums must be exorbitant. So you could sell options.
But so the question is, does the volatility come down materially?
And that's what a lot of analysts say will happen.
Yeah. If that happens, but does that then put a cap on it, or does that?
Can it happen? Because that's a tail wagging the dog. Because Bitcoin is in here. Yeah, but by definition, Bitcoin has been volatile. Do you think options really could lessen the volatility of the underlying asset?
I mean, that's what some analysts are saying, especially as you build out a more robust market infrastructure around this, you bring in more institutional money. And what I will say in terms of like building out what you can do with these spot crypto products, you've got Grayscale updating its prospectus just this week to do a covered call ETF for Bitcoin. So you're seeing that those are the products that these issuers are indexing toward rather than having, spot funds around all of these altcoins.
Because you just mentioned 80% of the volume is in calls. So that must mean they're rich premiums in the calls. You could sell those. And if it doesn't hit it, you just keep that premium.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it protects.
So a lot more money coming into the Bitcoin ecosystem. Here's what Polymarket is saying right now about it does make Bitcoin more volatile. Yes. So the options are volatile as well. But the fact that you can protect your position, sell the upside against it, it is one of those things that's obviously attractive to a lot of traders. Polymarket says there's a 74% chance that Bitcoin gets to 100,000 this year. 74% chance. We're at what right now? We're at 90 something, 94. Are we still at 94? We are at Bitcoin. Robinhood, by the way, got some green candles right there. 94.7. Hood is at 36.70, up 4% of the day. So looks like the betting markets are betting that, yes, there is a really good shot we get to 100K this year. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy now own about 31.4 billion. So there's this good website. It's called sailortracker.com. Let me pull it up. Yeah, right here. So if anyone ever wants to see when Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin or how much they have in Bitcoin, this is the website, sailortracker.com. So they have 31.42 billion in Bitcoin. I believe half of that is profits. The other half they paid for. Paper profits, gains. And the last time they bought Bitcoin was last week at 88,000. They bought 51,780 Bitcoin. So all these green dots are when he buys Bitcoin, and blue is the average price of the Bitcoin. Currently, their average is like 49,000, which is not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Or actually, blue is the price of Bitcoin itself, and then green is the total dollar cost average. So their total cost average right here, the dotted line you can see right below, that's 49,000. And then the price of Bitcoin is closing in on 95,000 right now. Pretty incredible. Are you going live for the Nvidia earnings later? Yes, I'll be live at 3:30 talking Nvidia. If Nvidia can crush, then this will be one of the best 2024s. I mean, obviously it's the only 2024 unless we've lived a second 2024. Maybe 2025 is the second coming of 2024, but it will be one of the best years in the stock market, I think, of all time. I mean, if Nvidia crushes and the market kind of closes out the way it goes, there's obviously been some better years, but this has been, in the first 215 days, from some of the stats I was seeing, one of the best years, definitely one of the best election years. And if we end it out well, it could be a pretty life-changing year for a lot of people, and it could set a lot of momentum going into 2025. The question is just going to be if 2025 we can keep this up. That is going to be the most important thing. Target is still down right now. Zim, yeah, they're a shipper. They had good earnings right now. You're saying Zim has a dividend. Does Zim have a dividend? Zim, oh yeah, they do have a dividend. Wow, Zim has a 4% dividend. All right, I'll take a look at dividend. I'll take a look at Zim. Got me a bit interested on this. They introduced a special dividend today. 934 EPS on Zim, and looks like they beat on the top and the bottom line. Yeah, introducing a new. So whenever a company introduces a special dividend, you always want to wonder how they do that. And I think that's what we have to look at right here. Wow, they made 1.1 billion in profits this year. What's their market cap? The market cap's like 20 billion, right? Oh, their market cap's 3 billion? Wow. I guess integrated shippers get 0 multiple. Holy crap. Zim is a shipping company. Like, they have boats and they ship stuff all across the world. They made $1 billion of net income, trading at 3 billion. And you got a special dividend of 84 cents. Operating income was 1.23 billion compared to a loss of 2.28 billion last year. Yeah, these are good numbers, dude. These are good numbers. Now, again, Zim is not a tech company, so they're not going to get a crazy multiple. But I'll take a look at it. These are not bad numbers. These are not bad numbers at all. It deserves to be up 10% today. That is a pretty decent earnings. Bitcoin 94.7. We're trying to get into that $95,000 level. Robin at 36.71. Williams Simona is up even further, up 25%. Every time I say their name, I'm going to have a scoff of arrogance as if I'm rich. William Simona is up today, 172. Amit, you need to find a woman, then you will learn to dread that place. All right, so it seems like Chad has been to William Simona before. Dude, that's so... I want to ask my mom if she knows about this. Like, my mom is into this kind of home goods, luxury, fashion type stuff, even though there's not really fashion. It's more like home furnishings and all that stuff. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to text her right now. Do you know who William Simona is? Let's see if she responds. Mom, do you know what... I know I'm saying it wrong, dude. It is what it is. I can't, like, this is what it is. Williams Simona is. If my mom says she knows, then OMG, I can't listen to him pronounce this. Wait, how do you say it? Sonoma. Oh, I've been saying the Mona. You know why? I have a friend named Mona. That's why. I probably just like put that together. It's actually her birthday today. That's probably why. That's the connection I made in my head. So I saw the Nomona and I got, I'm not trying to be ableist here, but I got a little dyslexic for a second. I put the M in front of the N and I said Mona. Sonoma. All right, it's Sonoma. That was a hell of a justification though that I made for my mispronunciation, right? Like my mom said no. Okay, so my mom doesn't know it. There you go. My mom doesn't know it. That means it's definitely for rich people. It's definitely for rich people. You know, it was funny. My mom the other day, like I was like just presenting something to her. I was talking about something. And then she was like, you always know how to like make me think that you're right about this. And I'm like, no, I'm just like presenting. She's like, no, you always find a way to like put some argument in there. And then I start thinking you're right. And I'm like, hey, it is what it is, you know? So whenever my one day wife wants me to go to William Sonoma, I'll definitely be able to make an argument. Just say, no, babe, you should go. You should go. You know what the argument is? Give her your credit card. Boom. You should go. Just please let me stay home. I do not want to go to Williams Sonoma. I'd rather just buy their stock if you're going to be buying up everything there. SoFi 1457, DraftKings 43, Marathon 2148, markets come. Oh, wow. Bitcoin $100 away from 95. $100 away from 95. Palantir down about 3.5%, still holding that $60 range. Where is Hood? Hood right here, 36.90, trying to get back to 37. Look, we hit 38. There was a lot of momentum. We broke through 37 and 38. So I do think we get back there. I think Algo's kind of sold it off over the past 30 minutes. Bitcoin right here, 94,850 currently right now. Wow, MicroStrategy is trying to close 500. Holy crap, dude. 492 on MSTR. Oh my goodness gracious. That is big. Lakeside said, William Sonoma is the reason I got into stocks. I spent $5,000 one day on a few pots, and my coworkers told me you could have just put that into the market. Dude, those pots must be pretty damn incredible for $5,000. Like, my mom likes to spend, but even she, I don't think she would spend $5,000 on pots, bro. Like, we got an Amazon package every other day of something random. My mom loves shopping. But more than shopping, my mom loves getting a good deal. And so if the pots were not a good deal to her, she probably might not have bought it. 94,865 on Bitcoin, but it makes sense. You know, you went to that store, you got the experience, you realized how expensive stuff was, and maybe it makes sense to just buy their stock at that point. All right, folks, we got $100 left of Bitcoin. Unless we get a little bit of a algo sell-off or a little bit of resistance here, I think we crack 95. I think we should get there. Coinbase is taking off right now. Yeah, Coinbase trying to get green. It was at what was it on today? Coinbase on the daily, we went down to 318, 313. Now we're back at 323. So Coinbase trying to go green. Robinhood at 36.77, MicroStrategy 495, Bitcoin trying to get to 95,000. There's this cool website that shows you the order flow on Bitcoin. Let me see if I can pull this up. It's actually cool to see it happen in real time. Bitcoin order book. Oh yeah, here's the website. Yeah, here it is. Look at this. Look at this. So these are people all across the world that are buying Bitcoin and selling Bitcoin at 94 and 95. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that thin spread. They're all fighting for the best price to buy or sell it at. So these are all the exchanges. There's tons of different exchanges, but they're all working back and forth to buy and sell things. You know, when you look at the concept of a market and things going back and forth, and the fact that there needs to be a buyer and a seller, it's just one of the most amazing things in the world, actually trying to understand what the markets are. There is a buyer who says, I like Palantir at 60. I want to buy it. And there's a seller who says, I don't like Palantir at 60. I want to give it to you. And that relationship between the buyer and the seller creates a market. This is why the betting markets are taking off, because, you know, you got people that are saying yes to no versus on an event, right? Kamala will win, Trump will win. What are we going to bet against that? And it creates a market. And it's just pretty incredible to see kind of that element of capitalism act the way it does. It's pretty damn incredible. Are you following Chris into Marathon? Yes, I got some Marathon leaps. Yesterday. Not a lot of them. I got like 10 of them yesterday. So I am buying into Chris's thesis on Marathon becoming a small MicroStrategy. Chris, by the way, has really bought into that thesis. I think Chris just posted his gains on Twitter on Marathon. Yeah, he's doing well, folks. He's doing well. See, this is what I learned about Chris. He's up 220,000 in a day. This is what I learned about Chris. Okay. Chris, I consider Chris a mentor in the stock market. One of the things I learned about Chris, and it's funny because it's kind of George Soros and Stanley Druckenmiller talk about this as well, what Stanley learned from George Soros. When you have conviction, you go heavy. Now, you could be wrong on the conviction. You could be really wrong. Chris will tell you some of the losers that he's had, like Snowflake, etc. But when you're right, it makes up for all the ones you're wrong on. And when you're right, you make a lot of money versus making a little bit of money. And that was one of the lessons I learned from Chris going into Robinhood. When I had conviction on Robinhood, especially on the options, you go heavy. You go heavier than heavy. Like you go really heavy when you believe in it. Now you got to be ready to deal with the volatility of, so August 5th was not fun for me because I went really heavy and it went down really bad. But then I just went heavier on August 5th. And I was like, nothing is stopping this thesis. I don't care. I'm going to pick stocks for the rest of my life. I will probably have losers, but this one I'm not going to be wrong on. Like that level of conviction was there since fucking $8. And, it's so far it's worked out. So I guess the moral of the story is when you really have conviction on something and you're willing to be completely wrong and lose everything, if you're right and you go heavier, you can make a lot. And that's what we're seeing right now in the context of Chris's play on Marathon, but also just in the context of people that obviously had that thesis on MicroStrategy, and they are being rewarded very heavily right now. Very, very heavily. So there you go. That's the way I feel about SoFi. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, I can't say anything to convince you. Like everyone has to have their own thesis if you go heavy on something, whether it's options, shares, whatever it is. If you have a substantial position compared to your net worth in one ticker, I mean, dude, when it comes to Palantir and Robinhood, I feel like I can explain them like better than most people on the planet. And it's just because a lot of my net worth is tied to these two. So like you got to be able to do that, right? So whatever it is, whether it's SoFi, a Marathon, a MicroStrategy, a Bitcoin itself, you've got to be able to just explain it and live with the results. But again, life is about, no one gets rich by not taking a risk, right? I mean, like you got to take some level of risk, whether it's real estate, stock market, your own business, to get some type of momentum. Maybe Palantir is an accumulation phase. Dude, if Palantir is an accumulation phase at $60, goodness gracious, bro. If accumulation or consolidation at 60 is happening for Palantir, then maybe we are headed a lot higher if they can continue to reaccelerate growth. That might end up being what we see in terms of how that happens. Okay, let's get some updates on Google. So we have the former Google CEO right here, Eric Schmidt. Let's see what he say about Google's I don't think Perplexity is going to take their lunch anytime soon. I think that is a distant threat, but it's not a threat that matters that deeply. So this is one of the ones I'm looking at a little bit more, 175 right here. Let's hear what the previous CEO has to say and if he thinks the DOJ stuff is kind of dumb.
Leader in the tech industry who's going to be weighing in on so many issues, regulation under Trump, administration, and so much more. But he's got a new book out. Eric Schmidt is here, former Google chairman and CEO. His book is out today. It is called Genesis: Artificial Intelligence, Hope, and the Human Spirit. And most interestingly, it is worth noting that you have two co-authors, but one of whom is Henry Kissinger. And this was one of the last things he worked on before he passed away.
It's Dr. Kissinger's last book. And of course, we miss him every day, all of us who knew him. But he got very, very concerned about the impact of AI on society. He didn't really understand AI, but he figured it out. But the biggest issue is the impact on our human dignity. How do we perceive ourselves? Are we human? Are we the dogs to the computers, or are the computers under our control?
I want to get into all of that. I do want to ask you, though, a whole bunch of questions just about the here and now, if you'd indulge me. We were just talking about this report that came out last night about the potential for your former employer to be forced to push Chrome outside of Google and effectively to spin that business off or break it up. What do you think of that? And what do you think do you think there is a regulatory need to do something at Google?
Well, a lot of this has to do with the antitrust activities,
Right.
which were initiated by President Trump in his first term and continued by Biden. I've never agreed with the use of antitrust to deal with the large tech companies. I think that if you want to deal with them, then regulate them, but do it in a fair way, do it in an open way, and have it apply to everybody.
So when you look at but the impact of taking Chrome out of Google, you think would be what?
Well, Chrome itself doesn't make any money. What they're referring to is the fact that the use of Chrome means much higher gross margins than shared browsers.
Right.
But again, to me, those are business decisions. I just don't agree with the government's attitude in this area.
Do you think that the whole antitrust game is going to change under Trump as it relates to Google, as it relates to Apple? There was a report out recently that they may not go after Apple anymore. I mean, do you think that there's a whole new sort of sea change here?
Well, Lena Khan, who is the executive here in the government, will clearly be leaving. And she pushed a whole bunch of new theories about how antitrust would work, which we'll see if they're proven over time. The important thing from my perspective is these antitrust efforts don't work. If you want to regulate, do it in a precise way, do it in such a way that you understand your outcomes. Don't play other games. Now, these companies, by the way, as their defender, are under enormous pressure from their employees, from lawsuits and so forth. This is just another regulatory pressure on them.
But the Department of Justice began this under the first Trump administration.
That is correct.
This is not something that's out there. And there have been other companies from Microsoft to AT&T and others who have gotten broken up over the years. I mean,
well, Microsoft was not broken up.
it had to deal with, it wasn't broken up. It had to deal with the separation of and dealing with all the terms the government placed on it.
And what happened was that set Microsoft back about 10 years.
Yeah, Bill Gates has blamed it for why.
But from my perspective, breaking up these companies is not going to fundamentally address the annoyance that you have with them. They're vertically integrated, but the fact of the matter is, I worked a lot with European Union trying to slow down their regulation. In every move they suggested, Google ultimately found other ways of being successful in business. And so it's much more subtle. The companies are vertically integrated in a way where they're actually trying to deliver an integrated experience. By taking something, I'll give you an example with Apple. There was a proposal to take the App Store away from Apple. Well, the App Store is an integral experience for the user. So it's a degradation.
That makes sense. Like if you took away the App Store from Apple, that'd be the dumbest thing ever. Like that would be so stupid.
Of the user experience. Now, for what, right? You really think that people want to then download their own app store and deal with the problems of security and so forth? There have to.
He's right. He's so right about that. I think the same thing with Chrome. It would be a degradation of the experience, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Bitcoin really trying to get to 95,000 right here. It was like $14 away, so it is pushing to trying to get to this $95,000 level. But I agree, right? If you got rid of the App Store from Apple, it would be ridiculous. It'd make no sense. So getting rid of Chrome from Google is just like, there's other things you can break up Google with when it comes to Android and YouTube. I don't agree with those either, but that has like a better argument to me than getting rid of the browser that they don't make money off of, but just allows users to access Google. Like, could you imagine another company owning Chrome, but then Chrome is what most people use to like do a Google search or like go to their most visited websites, and like a lot of those being YouTube and Google, like it would or Gmail, right? Or Google Sheets, or like or Google Docs. It's like, it's so dumb. Like this is when you like start thinking like, who the hell is running the DOJ? Like who's coming up with these arguments in the room thinking, oh, this is a good idea. Let's break up Chrome. So I don't think it'll happen, but it is one of those proposals that is out there. Bitcoin 94,851. Here's a piece of breaking news from The Information. Speaking of Google, President-elect Donald Trump was on a phone call with Google CEO Sundar Pichai, and Elon Musk was on the call. Elon Musk. Yo, could you imagine Sundar trying to like make good with the president? And then Elon's like, hey, this is crazy. Elon is getting himself into every element of this process. This is pretty incredible right now. Let me go to the information, see if we can get a little bit more coverage on this. Google, Elon, and Sundar Pichai. By the way, Meta is launching ads on Threads by early 2025. That's another headline. Meta ads on Threads by early 2025. I want to talk about Threads in a little bit as well because we got some updates going on there. But yeah, Musk joined the call between Trump, Google, and Musk joined the call between Trump and CEO Sundar Pichai. That is the headline. That is indeed the headline. I'll try to get the full article, but that is pretty incredible. I think Sundar would be like, what? I mean, like, if you're trying to make good on your relationship and then this Elon guy. Also, what's his name? Elon doesn't like Google at all. I mean, Elon accused Google of tilting the election to Harris, all this stuff. Literally on voting day, Google had some glitch with like showing up Harris results over Trump. And then Elon accused them of that. Also, by the way, advertisers are coming back to X. Comcast and Disney are both coming back to X to advertise. And one of the arguments people are saying is that because Elon and Trump are super close, you don't want to be unfriendly with Elon because Elon will then just tell Trump to say, screw you. And then boom, that's in a bad situation. So Bob Iger, the guy that Elon told GFY, is now back to paying Elon because of his relationship with Trump, which is pretty damn incredible to see how things have turned over the past 2 years and how that has played out. There's also another argument I was hearing that there's advertisers that are probably going to come to Truth Social. Why? Because they want to be friendly with Trump. I mean, I'm just putting up a random example, but if you're a company in Saudi Arabia and you sell coffee and, you don't need to advertise on Truth Social, but you're thinking, hey, we ship across the world. We want to keep good relationships between Saudi Arabia and the United States. Let's just spend $5 million on Truth Social. I mean, to these companies, their marketing budgets are like, like they can waste a little money. They don't really care. They'll get some exposure on Truth Social. Probably not going to be the best advertising platform because the targeting on Truth Social, I imagine, kind of sucks. But if Trump knows that you're advertising on his platform, maybe he's a bit more friendlier to you. Again, these are the kind of the theses that are rolled out there. But this is what happens when you have a president-elect who also has a company that is currently public right now. And so that's kind of what we're seeing currently in the Twitter sphere along with advertising. All right, so Bitcoin's trying to get to 95,000. Let's flip over to Evercore ISI. Julian Emanuel, the guy I used to call Julian Edelman, but then I realized he's not a football player. He was bearish on the S&P until mid-2023. Then he did a U-turn, and now he looks like a genius. Some of the other big guys on Wall Street, they did not do that U-turn. He did, and now he's saying S&P 500 at 6,600 by mid-2025. Here's what he has to say.
Some price targets. BMO, 6,700, 2025 year end.
Hold on real quick. Can you guys hear it? Did you guys hear it just now? My computer's doing that weird thing where I can't hear it. Hold on. Settings, audio. Let me just know if you guys heard it real quick. I can't hear it, but you guys should be able to. I'll just hear it through my phone. Okay, you guys heard it? Okay, so my computer's being weird. All right, let me play it again. I'll just listen through my phone. Here we go.
Some price targets. BMO, 6,700, 2025 year end. Goldman, 65. Morgan Stanley, 6,500. You think mid-2025, 6,600. What's behind that?
So we think there's a lot of parallels in the way the market has digested the election and moving beyond to not President Trump's first year in the first term, but the second year of the first term. Think about that. 2018, the year of tax cuts, the year of tariff and trade wars, and the year of gently rising interest rates until they rose a bit too far at the end of the year. That's what really makes sense to us. And then, of course, the other part of it is a Fed that would like not to be at loggerheads with the president, but the data and the policy where inflation and growth may be going may cause them to have to sort of ease up on the rate cutting as opposed to the counterpoint where they were hiking in 2018.
In the days after the election, in the immediate aftermath, you speculated on the prospect of a melt-up in equities. The rally has since stalled somewhat. What's your view on that now?
I think there's a digestion phase going on, processing all the change. Look, the American people voted for change. we are getting change, fast and furious. And there's clearly a bit of, I think the other aspect of it is that going into the vote, the very clear preference among our clients was to see a divided government. So, but you have the unified government. The mandate is to move fast, and that means more volatility. And again, there's a lot of uncertainty about how policy is going to be implemented. We talked about those dynamics. And there's a recognition that the bond market is going to call the tune for the next year at least.
Irish companies are bringing new ideas, new perspectives, and new approaches to technology. Enterprise Ireland connects you with world-leading Irish perspectives.
All right, cool. So, sorry, it was playing a little bit of the ad. I don't know why my computer's not sharing with the audio. So his argument right there is the same argument we're seeing by a lot of the other analysts right here, which is that Trump is bullish. Trump is bullish for growth, and that's the momentum you're seeing right now in the context of the broader market. Now, he has one of the better targets in terms of like bullish targets. So you had Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs say 6,500 end of 2025. MicroStrategy, by the way, 496. This guy, Evercore, is saying 6,600 mid 2025. So he is higher than the end of year targets on Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley by the middle of 2025 versus the end of 2025. If 2025 ends up being another 2024, then yeah, we're probably heading way higher than 6,500 by earlier than the end of the year. And if that's the case, it will be one of the most incredible kind of 3-year stretches, maybe 4-year stretches that we're going to have in the broader equity markets. Bitcoin right here, 94,000. MicroStrategy up 15% on the day at 497. It did hit 499. Trying to break that $500 level. Robinhood right here, 36.45, up 3.43% on the day, and Bitcoin 94,785. What are the possibilities of Trump saying never mind about crypto? I mean, he's just a politician that wanted to be elected anyway. That is a fair point. One thing to remember, though, is Trump has his own cryptocurrency. It's called Liberty Financial. And he has a lot of people in his ears that are bullish crypto, and his Truth Social company is buying a crypto exchange. So I think the odds of Trump being bearish crypto, it's probably hard to kind of see that playing out. Marathon as well. Yep. You got 22.21. Marathon up 11.25% right there. MicroStrategy 494, Robinhood 36.51, and then Bitcoin right here at 94,800 right now. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, and this I forgot to show you guys this. So I have two more things we want to do before we end it out, guys. One is I just want to show you guys who Trump picked or Trump is gonna pick for the new crypto SEC chair, and then we're gonna listen to Dan Ives on Nvda. And we'll be done for today. And then at 3:30, I'll be back and we will get into NVIDIA earnings. So he picked someone that I have no idea who this person is, but I've heard of her for the first time yesterday. Looks like we will have Teresa Goody-Gulian. If you guys were upset about how I said William Sonoma, then you'll be more upset about that. A seasoned securities lawyer and blockchain advocate to replace SEC chair Gary Gensler. Goody is currently a partner at Baker Hostelter and co-lead of its blockchain team, has experience working for the SEC and representing blockchain companies, making her a strong pro-crypto candidate. Sources say Trump aims to overhaul the SEC with light touch regulation, and Goody could bring immediate changes with her deep understanding of securities law and crypto industry. Crypto firms have spent over $130 million lobbying this election cycle and are reportedly advocating for a pro-crypto chair to lead the SEC, aligning with Trump's campaign promise to fire Gensler. An appointment is expected before Thanksgiving, and this is coming from CoinDesk. Am I still saying Sonoma wrong? Simona? At this point, dude, it's whatever. At this point, I don't care. At this point, I'm starting a trend. Simona. No, it's Sonoma. It's not Simona. Even though I'm probably going to say Simone again. But look, there you go. You got more people that are bullish on crypto that Trump is nominating. All of the tailwinds, it's just really hard to see the catalyst to the downside outside of, people just deciding to sell, which obviously could happen. But a lot of the catalysts are shaping up to be more positive in terms of what could happen for crypto and Bitcoin, and replacing Gary Gensler is one of those current catalysts. Okay, cool. Let's end it off with Dan Ives. Here's what he has to say about NVIDIA, and then I'll be back for the market close, and we will see what we got going on.
He also thinks tech stock will continue to rally into year end. If you haven't figured it out, he is Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Global Head of Technology Research. Has a buy rating on NVIDIA. Price target's 200. Why is it going to be a drop the mic quarter?
I think right now, demand to supply is 15 to 1. And, this They're the only game in town. And from all of our Asia trips that we talked about here on the show, it is just the beginning of this AI revolution. And I think as you start to see with Blackwell, Street's still underestimating what this is going to do as all the hyperscalers start to build out that AI CapEx at the top of that mountain. It's the godfather of AI, Jensen, Nvidia. And I think that's why tonight it's going to be a drop the mic, get the popcorn out quarter.
Is it going to be from the numbers reported, or is it going to also be from the commentary around guidance?
I think especially guidance, because Blackwell, like when you look, I mean, we could be looking at a trajectory 20, 25, 30 billion a year, right? And if you look at the street sort of modeled this, I think still massively underestimated in terms of where this go over the next year or two. Look, because my view is the big question is like, when could this get to 200 billion of annual revenue? And I think they continue to underestimate what NVIDIA and what this AI spending, this tidal wave is going to do, not just for big tech, but especially with NVIDIA. And that's why when Jensen speaks, everyone listens. But it just shows what's coming
How hard
second,
is it
third,
to figure this out? I mean, we know kind of have a sense for what all the hyperscalers, the main customers, are going to spend. They've told us in terms of their own commentary. Why is this a mystery?
Because I think many continue, whether it's Blackwell delays, worries about technology, over ordering, it's about the 2 and 2 model. 2 billion beat, 2 billion in terms of guidance raise. And I think when you trajectory this out, this eventually is a company. At first, you're talking about dollar earnings. Now you're like, could it be $5, $6 out your earnings? But it also just shows for broader tech. Still 9:30, 10 p.m. in the AI party that I think goes to 4 a.m. And that's why I think big tech, we're looking at NASDAQ, not just 20,000 in the next few years, especially with Trump and when I be deregulation. This is just very bullish for the tech trade.
You're referring to the average revenue beat last few quarters is about 2 billion. Some argue that it might not be as much this time. If that happens, would the price get punished?
I mean, it could a little, but I still think 2 and 2 in terms of the model, but it's also about Blackwell, you know, in terms of what that could look like over the next few quarters. And it just goes back to 3 months ago. And the initial reaction, stocks down, bears all coming out of hibernation mode in their spreadsheets. This is up 17% since the watch party. So as we continue to head in, I think like we talk about 4 trillion. I think over the next 12, 18 months, besides them and Apple and others, we're going to be talking eventually about $5 trillion market caps in tech as this fourth industrial revolution plays out.
You said that nobody's even close in terms of competition. Does that dynamic change in 2025?
Look, I think AMD obviously trying to sort of get around the corner. Others will start to ultimately there's some private companies you're going to see a lot of funding in terms of trying to find who could ultimately be in this race. But they continue to be in the left lane, Bugatti going 90 miles an hour, everyone else in a minivan going 35 miles an hour. And that's why when I look at the stock, this is not expensive. It just continues to be my view that the street underestimates where it can go and where growth can go. And that's why tonight, I think there's just another indication where this AI spending trend is.
Well, we'll be watching. Obviously, the largest market cap company on the planet after the bell. Dan, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Dan Ives.
Let's get a news update this morning with Silvana Hanau. Hi, Silvana.
Hey, Carl. Good morning to you. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine's capital is.
All right, there you go. Dan is bullish. No competition. He thinks they're going to do well. He thinks they're going to show growth, beat expectations, and continue to do what NVIDIA does, which is show that we are in a current AI revolution. All right, folks, I'll be back at 3:45. Thank you, as always, for joining every morning. It means the absolute world to me. Let's do word of the day. There will be chapters in the description for those that want to go back to certain segments of the show. And we'll be back at 3:30. I'll be here with Jose live, and probably we'll be live from 3:30 to 6:30. So a good 3-hour stream. Get ready to lock in. We also have Snowflake and Palo Alto Networks. We'll take a look at them. But NVIDIA will be the main one that we will have earnings for. Word of the day is dungaree.
Dungaree.
Dungaree. Okay, blue denim. Blue denim. His dungarees were faded and torn, showing years of hard labor. She put on a pair of sturdy dungarees for her job at the farm. Okay. So next time you see someone wearing denim, you can say you got some nice dungarees. There you go. That's what we got. Sonoma's the real word of the day, though. Sonoma's the real word of the day. William Sonoma, baby. Sonoma or Simona. No, we're going to use some. Simona is the real word of the day. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you for being here. 3:30. Get ready. Get some food. Get some drinks. Nvidia earnings. We'll be live to break it all down. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Dungarees at William Simona are 10,000. That's the sentence we end on. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you guys at 3:30.